Sports PSP podcast. The highlight of Friday nights, as the big fella always calls it. What an honor and a pleasure to be doing the Sports PSP podcast on a Friday night. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic evening, coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. I am your host, Sports PSP. Alongside me, we got the gentleman on the top left. He is Mr. Atlanta, one half of the Georgia Bulldogs, one half of the Atlanta Falcons fan. He is a girl dad. He is bringing real flair every single day. BRF Sports. How you doing, fella?
Doing well, man. Life is good. I can't complain. My daughter's coming down for the summer in a couple weeks. I'm excited. I'm ready for that. Since you bring up girl dad, I gotta mention that. I gotta shout out my little Maya always. Just turned had a birthday not too long ago. Shout out. She just turned 11, so she just had a birthday not too long ago. So definitely want to give her a shout out on that. Life is good though, man. Work going well. Um, been busy as crap. Been busy the last few weeks on the job, man. Just people, it's getting hot. People getting busy, trying to get stuff built, getting ready for the summer. That's going well. I mean, just all in all, things are things going pretty good. I can't complain, man. I'm ready to get into this. Ready to get into this talk about all the sports and stuff going on. Whether it's like we got NBA to talk about, NFL to talk about, all type of drama to talk about. I always get excited to this the highlight of Friday night. I'm always excited to get on here, man. How y'all fellas doing? It's always a pleasure to share the spotlight with y'all.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure to hop on the Sports PSP podcast and appreciate everything that you do for us, BRF. And of course, we cannot do the Sports PSP podcast without my main man, all the way down from Columbus, Georgia. He is the five-time college degree champion. He is the military man and veteran. He is the Al Roker of journalism. He is the young Charles Barkley. He is the young Mark Henry. He's soon to be Megan Thee Stallion's baby daddy at some point soon. Some point. Yeah, no, I mean, Megan, hook up this brother. Take him to some tickets. Take him to Mexico. Have a good time out on the beach, order some margaritas, have some good food, take him down to H Town. But of course, he is D's hysterical friend. He is Ace's best sibling. He is Mama Champ's number one favorite son. There's a reason why his father called him Champ for a reason. The one and only, the big fella. And I see he's adding more frames to his wall of fame. The big fella, undisputed world champ. How you doing, big fella?
Good to be here on the highlight of Friday nights once again, man. Special shout out to Sports PSP, man, helping me add to the already great, the wall of fame, what I like to call it, man. And hey, man, thanks for the hookup. I got a lot more work to do on the wall of fame in order to complete it. There will be pictures on that side of the wall. I know y'all see me pointing to my right, your left. There will be more pictures on that side of the wall later on throughout weeks to come. And man, I'm just grateful to be here. Always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to be here, man. Special shout out to everybody who's watching. Special shout out to Mama PSP. Special shout out to D. Special shout out to Kia, Fran, all you guys. Special shout out to all the group chats that we're in. Special shout out to everybody, man. And it's just good to be here, man, with my guys on Friday night, man. It's kind of like when you were a kid and you know you're about to go to the arcade with your friends, and it's just like you know it's about to be lit. You know you're about to play the Ninja Turtles. You know you're about to play Space Invaders, and you know it's about to be a competition to its closing. It's just like that, man. Only we ain't in competition. Rivals, we have none. So I'm just grateful to be on the number one show on the East Coast, that being the Sports PSP podcast. Keeping track of the WNBA and the NBA playoffs at this point. And special shout out to the Atlanta Dream, starting 2 and 0. Angel Reese is leading the league in rebounds at this point, and offensive rebounds. She's out rebounding a lot of teams. I will be in the building, Atlanta, at State Farm Arena. I will be in the nosebleed sections, but I will be in the building this coming Sunday when we play the Aces. So I'm excited to go to my first WNBA game, man.
Just don't take his ass to Magic City.
I got to go there right after I got to after after we pay homage to the ladies, we got to go praise the other ladies. So, you know, so we got to go bless them too. So after we buy tickets to one of the lady events, we got to go to the other one, man. So we got to support both sides. We can't be biased.
Make sure you get some lemon pepper wings. Either that or you're going to end up going to Waffle House.
Yeah, man. You know, hey, you want to go to Waffle House at night, around 4 in the morning. You know, won't do
They
you
got some
can't go
good
to.
food, though, from
Yeah,
what
they
I've
got good
heard.
food though, but yeah, you go there late in the evening. But man, it's good, man. We got the debut. You got Cootie McMahon that is debuting for the Washington Mystics and doing a lot of great things. And hey, man, it's a good way. The WNBA is exploding, man. It is exploding, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it. These women deserve every dollar that they're making, and I can't wait until we get to the point where they're making $10 million a year. And I'm hoping that day comes soon.
Well, only time will tell, big fella. And I hope the WNBA players definitely get their money and recognition, and as well as everything else. And by the way, for those who may not know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Make sure you take the time to get help. It's never too late. In the words of Robin Williams, everyone you know in life is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind always, because you never know what someone else is really going through. And definitely hearts and tributes go out to rest their souls, Brandon Clark, and of course Jason Collins. For those who may not know, Jason Collins became the first openly gay player of the NBA. Really sad, really devastating news. Gone, but never forgotten. So before we start off the show, I think it's appropriate that we should give them a quick moment of silence. Thank you. But glad to be here on the Highlight of Friday Nights Sports PSP podcast, man. But let's get to it. The New York Knicks. Unfortunately, New York Knicks fans, I'm starting to really wonder which fan base is worse, them or Dallas Cowboy fans, because they starting to get a little too full of themselves. But rightfully so, because the New York Knicks swept the Philadelphia 76ers. They demolished them in game four. Um, BRF, I'll let you go first because, again, they beat your team since since trailing 2-1 against your Atlanta Hawks. They have won 7 consecutive games. They just embarrassed the Philadelphia 76ers. It looked like their heart was snatched out of their chest. And another great sign of things to come for the New York Knicks, OG Anunoby will be expected to play in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between either the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Detroit Pistons. So, BRF, what were your thoughts on the Knicks Sixers series?
Um, Honestly, it wasn't that much of a series. I think where the Hawks were able to give the Knicks fits was just their size and just sheer athleticism, and being and honestly being able to, like, even though they didn't have like a dominant guy to get buckets, they were able to get their shots off, and they were able to really give the New York Knicks fits as far as their size and their athleticism. Like, because the Knicks want to, I mean, they can score when they need to score, but ultimately, when you see a team structured like the Knicks, they want to slow it down, half court offense, get set, kind of, Jalen Brunson, even though he is a point guard, he doesn't always necessarily play like a point guard. He likes to get his shots off. He likes to score, put the ball in the hole. Um, they really like to dominate as far as like their physicality and all that, in the half court setting. So I think with the Sixers, you would have expected a little. You would have thought they might have been able to get at least a game or two. I mean, VJ Edgecombe was coming into his own, particularly in that Boston series. Paul George showing some signs of life, kind of looking like his old self a little bit. Tyrese Maxey being Tyrese Maxey, and then the Joel Embiid it's almost like when people need, even though he's not the healthiest and he doesn't always stay healthy, people forget when Joel Embiid shows up, he can still be a really, really dominant force. So I just think with the Knicks, they're hungry and they want it, and they do they're doing everything, all the little things, you know. And when you go back to that Hawk series, they're right now they're just able to adapt better than anybody else right now. You saw CJ McCollum go off for 2 straight games. They said, "Nah, we're gonna put Josh Hart on you. Somebody else need to do something," and nobody else could really do anything. And then here with the 76ers, it just like I saw a video on IG earlier today, and it kind of makes a lot of sense. Positions matter when it comes to the playoffs. Like like being able to have a center, who can, he might be able to, he can take you outside, pop a jumper here and there, but at the same time being able to get in the post, kind of body up his defender, being able to really kind of impose his will. You're starting to see the positions matter again, because in the playoffs the games are going to slow down, and it's really vital that you make your shots, that you're able to kind of execute and do everything right, because a team like the Knicks with their bodies and in the interior, whether it's Cat or whether it's Mitchell Robinson, and then even with guys like Josh Hart, they're getting OG Anunoby back for the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm pretty sure they're going to. I mean, just they're just able to be physical. They're able to rebound, and and I think what's really kind of surprising me with the Knicks, you're seeing little glimpses as far as Cat, as far as like his defense is concerned, because he's not the greatest defensive player, but you're seeing him, get a little better as far as his rim protection, his perimeter defense, blocking
Passing
shots here
too.
and there. Yeah, yeah. I will say this about Cat: he's always been a pretty good passer. As a big, he's always been a good passer, and you're seeing that in the playoffs with the game slowing down, focusing more on the half court offensive settings, just his ability to kick out to guys like Jalen Brunson and OG, and they're making their shots, and they're making the shots. And honestly, I feel like that's what it's coming down to. Right now, they're executing and they're clicking on all cylinders. Right now, they're the best team in the East Conference. They would be favored regardless of who they play right now in the Eastern Conference Finals. The way they look right now, they look like they've hit a new stride after that Game 3 in Atlanta. They've just hit a new stride, and they're clicking on all cylinders. Like it's like Mike Brown's just like he's just not doing anything wrong right now as a coach. Like whatever he calls, whatever he draws up, it just seems like it's working right now. And the Sixers just didn't have any answers for it. I mean, Paul George, he had some glimpses here and there, but he really wasn't much of a factor in the series. I think to me, the only real factor that was really kind of doing anything was Tyrese Maxey. But even still, I mean, he's always going to get his because he's that good of a player. But it's one of those things where it's like they took everybody out, and then Joel Embiid missing that one game didn't help matters either. So it was just kind of one of those things. It's one of those situations where the Knicks are just playing really, really good ball right now. They're hot at the right time, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it on the court day in day out in these playoffs. Yeah, like I said, I think the Knicks right now should be the favorites in the East. I mean, they just look right now head and shoulders above everyone else. Um, so we're definitely gonna be paying attention to the series. The Cavs and the Pistons, because I'm looking at both teams as far as like who might be the worst matchup for the Knicks. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the Knicks beat who. I don't think it really matters. Um, I do like the youthfulness of Detroit, particularly with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. I like those guys like that. Tobias Harris honestly has been a man possessed in these playoffs. I will give him that. He stepped his game up in these playoffs. And you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. We try to tell people playoff Donovan Mitchell is a thing. Folks don't want to listen, but he has to remind you year in and year out when he makes playoffs. Playoff D Mitch is a thing. And James Harden is actually looking really good in these playoffs. He has stepped his game up immensely these last few games. Like getting his shots, creating his offense. Like he's looking like, I mean, he's not Houston Harden by any means, but this is like in terms from a playoff performance standpoint, this is the closest we've seen to Houston Harden as far as what he's doing in the playoffs right now. Just being able to set up his teammates, being an awesome playmaker, but yet being able to hit his shots. I mean, so I like what I'm seeing from the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I just think right now the New York Knicks right now, I think they're too good for whoever comes out of that other semifinal. I think the Knicks would beat whoever, probably in six. I like the way they're executing the half court. I like the way they're taking. I just like the way they're taking away what a team wants to do the most. I like if a team wants to kind of hang out and kind of if you live by the three, the way the Knicks are playing, they got OG, they got Josh Hart, they got all these guys who can get up in your face in the perimeter. Right now, they're a team playing with like very little to no flaws. So I definitely am enjoying I am actually enjoying what I am seeing out of the New York Knicks. I know as a Hawks fan, I've given them lots of crap, because they finally got their revenge on us after 2021 5 years in the playoffs. And they finally got their revenge on us on that. I've given them a lot of crap, but at the same time, it's one of those where it's like when teams like New York, when teams like the Celtics, when teams like the Lakers, when teams like that are doing their thing and playing good ball. I mean, the league is better because when you talk about the blue bloods of the sport, when they are playing good basketball, the game is better. I mean, there's no reason to be ignorant, or there's no reason to just deny that. So I do think the Knicks. I personally think they should beat whoever comes out of the other semifinal. We'll see. I just like how they're executing. They just taking it to another level. There's really not a lot to really add on to that. The Knicks are just playing the best ball out of any. I think right now, I say right now, probably outside of maybe the Thunder, nobody's playing better ball right now in the NBA. Maybe okay, I'll say the Thunder and the Spurs, possibly. No one's really playing better ball right now than the Knicks in the NBA right now. They've just taken it to another level. And kudos to those guys. Kudos to those guys for knowing what it's going to take to really advance and get to the NBA Finals as far as the physicality and just being able to execute. So shout out to the Knicks for stepping their game up. I can't be mad at them. I give them crap, but at the end of the day, when the Knicks are playing ball and they're doing well, the NBA's better. So shout out to the Knicks. I'm definitely appreciating and definitely liking what I'm seeing out of them in the playoffs.
Well, just looking at the Knicks, the New York Knicks defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 144-114 in Game 4, sweeping the series 4-0 to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. By the way, shout out to Miles McBride as well. He scored a game-high 25 points, and the Knicks tied an NBA playoff record with 25 three-pointers made. They made 18 three-pointers in the first half, tying the NBA playoff record for a half. I mean, 25 of 44 from downtown, which is 56.8%, which tied the all-time NBA playoff record for the most threes made by a single team in an NBA game. You got to give credit to the bench because that was one of the other issues you had with New York. Mike Brown has done his part not to screw it up. And the New York Knicks, coming into the season, it was them to be coming out the Eastern Conference. And when I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, the process is already done. You can't trust Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is still an exceptional player, but throughout his career, what has been the problem with him? Not just with his injuries, his conditioning. And he's at 32 years old. How many more years do you have left in the tank with Joel Embiid? I think they're going to have to move on from him and build the franchise around Maxey and Edgecombe. Because Edgecombe has stepping up. He stepped up in the playoffs, and I believe he'll get even better as time goes on. Maxey's already establishes himself as an all-star. Nick Nurse, I feel bad for him. God bless him. Obviously, he was going through a very uncomfortable situation, losing his brother, had to attend the funeral, even had to step away from the team. Philadelphia still has a lot of work to do. It's kind of disappointing for Philadelphia because you came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Boston Celtics. And look, even though the Knicks, they were favored to win the series, you could have at least won a game or two. Matter of fact, BRF, you mentioned in Game 2 without Embiid, It was actually a lot more
It was
competitive.
really close game, and the Sixers had a real shot to win that game without Joel Embiid. But like I said, like you brought up the 25 threes made in a game four, when a team like the Knicks are hitting their threes like that consistently, and then they're able to get back and they're able to set up their defensive play call as good as they are playing defense, it's hard for an opposing offense to execute when you have to go against a team who's playing defense like the New York Knicks right now. If they're making their shots and they're getting time to get back and set up and be able to defend you man up or zone or box and one or whatever they're going to run, when they can set up making shots like that, they are hard to beat.
They are. And when you look at with the Knicks right now, they should have no excuse for them not to come out the East. We still got to wait and see what happens with with Cleveland versus Detroit. They are getting their rest. OG is coming back. And by the way, you're not asking Jalen Brunson to do as much. So that helps out New York. Do I think they're going to win the chip? I think if they run to a team like Oklahoma City, that's going to be a concern because even though New York could challenge them, still Oklahoma City with their degree, and also too, Cat, what he has to stop doing is them dumb ticky tack fouls that he commits early in the game because he cannot get into early foul trouble just like that. If they're going up against a team like Oklahoma City, it's going to be hard to see how they're going to be with SGA. They're probably going to have to switch up and put Mikal Bridges or Josh Hart on him. But then you got to see what you're going to have to do with Jalen Williams. Then also with Chet, even though Cat has him as far as with size in terms of weight, still, Chet, we cannot ignore what he can do as far as his rim protection, his length, his defense, and McCain. Since the 76ers gave up McCain, he's been a big contributor for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But big fella, what are your thoughts regarding the Knicks?
The first team in NBA history to win four straight home games. Look, say what you want to about the New York Knicks and their fans, but they're gonna show up and they're gonna show out. And they
Yeah,
turned
which is why they
Philadelphia.
overtake Game 3 and Game 4 at Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're gonna show up. They're gonna show out. So show out. Keep showing up. Keep showing out. So man, look, it wasn't a series. And look, everybody, look, I'm gonna steal somebody's thunder, and I don't like to steal anything. I don't want to be, this guy, but I'm gonna give credit, because as long as you cite your work, you it's technically not stolen. Shout out to our main man Kieran knows sports. Big shout out to him, huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. He says this all the time on his videos. He's a big New York Knicks fan. Everybody's better than Jalen Bronson until it's time for them to be better than Jalen Bronson. I'll say that again. Everybody's better than Jalen Bronson till it's time to be better than him. And he is the heart and soul of this team at this point in time. He is the heart and soul of this team. Now you're getting healthier because OG is coming back. And it could have happened at a better time. Could have happened at a better time. The process is over with. You just got to think about where you want to go. Because the thing is, we are looking for that. I really don't think they're going to give up on them because the thing is this. They're looking for that one magical season that they could get out of him, much like how the Portland Trailblazers got out of Bill Walton at one point. They're looking for that one Bill Walton season with Joel Embiid. I don't believe they're going to let him go. I believe they're going to try to at least make it work so he can at least be like Porzingis was for the Boston Celtics if they ever was to make a deep playoff run. They're hoping for him to get healthy at the right time. Is it over? Yes. But the thing is, I don't think they're going to let him go. There's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of talk about Daryl Morey. But the thing is, hell, was it his fault that the guys who he brought in didn't produce? No. Was it his fault that Paul George got hurt? No. Was it his fault that James Harden couldn't deliver? No. Was it his fault that Joel Embiid
Well,
got?
to an extent, here's why I disagree with you kind of with James Harden, champ. Even though from a fit wise, he was a better fit than Ben Simmons, of course.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they decided to trade him. But at the same time, you knew what James Harden was capable of in the regular season, but you also knew what he's not capable of come postseason.
Yeah.
So that is kind of on you if you're Daryl Morey. But also with this team, if you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, they have to blow it up with Embiid because when are you going to ever stay healthy? And when are you going to get in shape? That's been the problem with Joel Embiid, champ. And even though people are like, he's such a phenomenal talent. Yeah, we know he's such a phenomenal talent. But imagine how great he could be if he can be in better shape. If they want to give it a shot, Joel Embiid is going to have to drop down in weight. Given the fact that he's had back, knees, feet injuries, the best way to take stress off your joints, drop some weight. Get down to at least 15, 20 pounds so that way you can take less pressure off your knees, your joints, your back. Look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Look at Tim Duncan late into his NBA career. Reason why Tim Duncan was able to last 19 years in the NBA was him cutting down in weight. And again, this is not to fat shame Joel Embiid or anything, but we know what a monster, we know what a physical freak that you are, a talent that you are.
Yeah.
But how we expect you, how are we going to continue to support you? How are we going to continue to build a franchise around you if you can't stay healthy? Of course, you don't want to let him go because you always have that feeling. Imagine if he would go elsewhere. Imagine, I've said this before, champ. Imagine if Joel Embiid actually went to South Beach, to Miami. Could you imagine a Joel Embiid in South Beach with a Pat Riley? Because you know what Pat Riley used to do to them players if they were overweight or had a high body fat percentage. Remember that clip I showed you, champ, to which Gary Payton and Joe Johnson said on Nightcap?
Yeah, he will find you.
Yeah, he will find you. He'll make you go on the sauna. He'll make you do some bicycles, run on the treadmill, anything. And I think with Joel Embiid, if he wants to continue at least, he's 32 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got at least 4 or 5 years left of his prime. If he wants to maintain it, he's got to cut down in weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't be that old. As you get older, the best way for you to last is cutting down in weight.
Yeah.
That way you can take the pressure off your joints, your knees, and your back, and for you to maintain a level of production.
Yeah. I agree 100%, man. The thing is, it's just like, it's more of a failure on the court than it was in the front office, in my humble opinion. It's more of a failure on the court because I put the team together in order for us to reach there. A lot of the failures have occurred on the court while I was there. That's just the thing. Yes, is it good that you got rid of Daryl Morey? Of course. But the thing is, I put
Who you gonna
together
get in return?
who you exactly. And the thing is,
You better
I
get
put
you better
together
try to get your hands on my side, you Jerry.
again. Yeah,
He took a job. He's unavailable. He got a job. He went to
Yeah,
Dallas. I
so
think.
yeah, he went
yeah,
to
so
Dallas.
he's
But
gone, so he's out of that picture. So guess what? Who, if you're Philly, who are you going to bring in?
again, the thing is, I put the teams on the floor. The players failed. I was able to. I mean, was it Daryl Morey, the GM who drafted Hitchcomb? Did he draft Hitchcomb?
Yes, but
Yeah.
even though when you brought in the players on the court, you also had to understand and knew the players with the circumstances. Paul George, even though Paul George was a good fit for you for the Philadelphia 76ers, champ, because as Casual mentioned on my pod, his ability to stretch the floor and hit perimeter shots and shoot from the three as opposed to Tobias Harris. But you also knew Paul George has had durability issues. And we've also seen Paul George struggle in the playoffs as well.
In the words of
Playoff
Stephen A.
team.
Smith, coming up short of the mini-me.
Yeah, but yeah.
Remember what they used to call Paul George in the playoffs? Pandemic P. Remember?
Pandemic.
Yeah, let's not forget how he missed a three from the side of the backboard.
Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, there's a lot to be desired in Philadelphia. A lot of questions going to go on. because Tyrese Maxey, Hitchcomb, they're good. They're magnificent. They're magnificent. I believe that Tyrese Maxey, excuse me, has a chance to be an MVP candidate one day. I really and truly believe that. But there's a lot to be desired in Philadelphia. I thought, piggybacking on BRF, I remember he said that on the Uncensored show. I remember him saying that, what if Joel Embiid got healthy just at the right time? And I was hoping against hope that he was right because, they was able to overcome the Boston Celtics and do a lot of great things. But unfortunately, that was not the case. But there's a lot to be desired in Philadelphia. The process is pretty much over at this point. So where do you go from here? Process is over. And now you have to figure out where you want to go as far as free agency, who you want to bring in. Is Bam Adebayo, is he the guy you want to bring in as well? Since, in order to replace, he's not as explosive, but not as great as Joel Embiid as far as,
Miami has said they're not going to do anything as far as moving on from Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, I don't see Bam leaving
yeah,
the
but
Miami
the
Heat at
fact,
all.
hey, look, I'm going to just be real. Loyalty is always a great thing. But the thing is this, if you get the opportunity to play with Hitchcomb and Maxey at this point, and you trying to win a championship and they throw a bunch of damn money at you simply off the strength of you being one of the big man commodity, and you need a big man coming off of, losing Joel Embiid, who is more than likely going to be moved on, it's going to be hard to turn down $250 million, just being real. So now I don't think
is
I'm
Philly
not.
is Philly that spot though?
It's, I
And
mean,
plus, and plus, Asia Wilson wants to be in South Beach just to support Bam.
I mean, Philly's a good spot. I don't think Philly's
It's a great sports city, but
I don't think Philly's like, oh, we get Bam Adebayo, we got a shot to win a championship. I don't think they're
no,
not close like that.
they're not thinking like that. Not one bit. They feel like, okay, with Bam Adebayo, he's a solid contributor. He's gonna rebound. He's gonna give you some mid-range shooting. He's improved his three over the years. He's gonna give you some passing, some playmaking. But there's a lot of issues that the Philadelphia 76ers need to address. I would still keep Nick Nurse as the head coach. I like Nick Nurse as the head coach.
yeah.
But
I
you're
agree
just going to
with
have
that.
to do something with these players. Plus, that trade for McCain, who, as I mentioned, Champ, has been an excellent contributor for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Sam Presti, somehow, some way, and again, we all know about the Thunder with them draft picks. So I think with the New York Knicks, it was head and shoulders they were going to win that series. I would have expected at least a win or two from Philadelphia. But to me, Champ, the clock has already been done with Joel Embiid. I mean, still, you haven't advanced to a conference finals. The first time you lost to Boston. The second time, Game 7, the Kawhi Leonard shot in Toronto. Third time you went to the playoffs, you got swept. Now, granted, it was in the bubble and no Ben Simmons. The fourth time, you had a chance to get to the conference finals. That was one of your best chances, and you were the favorites to beat Atlanta. But Ben Simmons became a liability offensively, and as a result, they implemented the hack a Ben strategy, made him shoot free throws, and had to take him out the game. Doc Rivers even defended Ben Simmons. He said it himself, if you think I'm going to take Ben Simmons out the ball game, you don't know basketball.
Ben Simmons became Win Simmons. Like, when is this brother ever gonna shoot?
Then,
I mean, like I said, he became. I remember saying this a long time ago on your pod, on PSP. I remember, Ben Simmons became Nick Anderson right before our eyes.
right. Then
That's a
after
good
that
comparison.
series, the following year, they lost to Miami. No shame to that. It was a competitive series. This was the first year with James Harden. But then, the following year, Joel Embiid winning the league MVP. Game 6, Philly had a 3-2 lead. You had a chance to close that series at Philadelphia. Still couldn't find a way to get the job done. And in Game 7, Jason Tatum lit him up in that game. So, I think with the Philadelphia 76ers, they've maxed their limit, champ. This is as far as they can go with the Embiid era. They're not going to let him go, but they should let him go because they feel like, what's the point of keeping him if he's still gonna continuously be out of shape and injury prone? And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's 32 years old. So what is Philadelphia gonna have to do to get into Joel Embiid's ear and say, look, big fella, in order for you to continue to perform and stay at your apex, bro, you got to get in better shape. You've been in the league long enough. And plus, remember, Champ, not too long ago, do you remember when Tyrese Maxey was calling out Joel Embiid for being late to everything?
Yeah.
Isn't that a testament to who you are as an athlete and as a professional?
I mean, yeah, when your team, I mean, the thing is, they even compared it to, the whole Shaq and Kobe thing when that happened. It was like you're being late all the damn time. You have all the talent in the world, but, you know, you're being late. You're not doing everything you need to do. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I think the beginning of the end of the process at this point, people don't want to acknowledge it, is when they let Jimmy Butler leave.
Yes,
I think that was the
absolutely.
beginning of the end of the process as we knew it. I think they made a mistake by keeping Tobias Harris because the guy who held, and as a big guy myself,
Joel loved them. They had a
yeah,
great
he
rapport.
loved Jimmy Butler. As a big guy and as a playful guy, you have to be held accountable sometimes because sometimes you get off on natural ability. It's like, I ain't got to try that hard. Fuck this shit. I can, get off on my natural ability. But when you have people around you that say, hey, man, we believe in you. You out here slipping. Let's go ahead and let's get everything done. I know, yes, we know you are good when you're this. We know you're great even when you're this. But let's get you to excellence where we know you can be. And Jimmy Butler used to hold him accountable. And I think that was the beginning of the end of the process as we knew it, was when Jimmy Butler ended up being lost to Miami. I believe that is when um, Joel
The
Embiid kind of
beginning of
went
the
down.
end of the process.
That was the beginning of the end of the process. And then, Joel Embiid comes back after winning the MVP, starts having this magnificent season. But, his conditioning couldn't hold up on him because guess what? Years of neglect, man. And that was the beginning of the end, man. It's unfortunate because everybody wanted the process to be the new Kareem and Magic.
Magic.
Everybody wanted it to be Shaq and
Shaq
Penny.
and Kobe, Shaq and
To
Penny,
be
Parker Duncan.
yes, you wanted it to be that. But unfortunately, he didn't have the type of dominance that could let him slack off like a Shaq, like a Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille was so dominant at his time, he could afford to slack off just a little bit. And you could tell that he wasn't in real shape. He could get in shape during the course of the season, but his dominance was such so that he was allowed to do that because he was so dominant because nobody could stop him. He said to himself, "I don't have to get ready for Tim Duncan. I ain't got to get ready for David Robinson, anybody else. I was that damn good." Unfortunately, although Joel Embiid was dominant, he wasn't Shaq dominant. He wasn't Kareem dominant or anything like that to the point where he could just slack off conditioning and he could be just that dominant where he could just get in shape throughout the season and then just say, "Okay, now I'm ready." He wasn't that dominant, and it was crazy. And the thing is, there were red flags. Remember, he came into the league with an injury.
Yeah,
I mean, I
remember, and that was the
came into the
reason
league
why he
with an
fell
injury.
in the draft. Had not been for injuries, he would have been the number one overall pick. And Mark Jackson, who used to work for the ESPN on NBA with Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy, he said it would be a crime if Joel Embiid is not mentioned with some of the greatest big men of all time. It would be a crime because he felt like for a guy of his talent and skill set, it would be a crime for him not to be considered being mentioned in that category with some of the great bigs, barring injury. And I feel like with Joel Embiid, injuries have robbed you, yes, but at the same time, you can control that by getting yourself in the best type of condition, getting you a nutritionist, getting you a trainer. One of the reasons why all of us, champ, are so hard on Zion is that, bro, you have this God given ability and talent, but it doesn't seem like to us you are doing the necessary things to keep you in shape. If they were, you would be out in the court. If you were in shape, the Pelicans would have never put that weight clause in your contract. We would never hear reports about you being 300 pounds or more. Hell, there were even times you looked bigger than Champ. That's saying something. Not to shame Champ or anything.
You ain't gotta explain that, man. If somebody get mad, fuck them. They'll be all right. That's how we play on this show. That's my brother. So if some of y'all want to be all mad and sensitive, y'all can go kick rock. Go outside and find the first rock you see and go kick it. That's how we play. So you ain't gotta explain none of these cats. They got a problem with it. Tell them to come see me. That's just the long and short of it.
But the reason why we're hard on them, Champ, and so many people, especially Charles Barkley, we see the talent, we recognize the talent. But what are you doing on your part to make sure that you in shape every single year? What are you doing as far as your nutrition? Look at LeBron and what he does in the offseason every single year, making sure he has the right nutritionist, spending millions of dollars each and every year, getting his conditioning, getting everything in order. So I feel like with Joel, you got at least 4 or 5 more years left of your prime. And the Philadelphia 76ers, they want to keep you because after all, you are the cornerstone of that franchise. You definitely have personality. Philadelphia loves you and vice versa. And if you want to put yourself in the best position possible I don't think he'll win a championship, BRF, but to at least get to a conference finals, you have to hold yourself accountable and put yourself in the best type of conditioning that you can be. And I just don't see that with Joel Embiid. I just don't see that with Zion. I just don't see it with a lot of other cats. And it's really disappointing because when you have that type of ability and talent that God blessed you with, you're supposed to capitalize and maximize it. And if you don't, years later, you're always going to ask yourself, man, what could I have done? What should I have done differently?
Absolutely. You could have said it any way better, man. Like I stated, even Shaq.
I hope I didn't anger or upset you with what I said, Champ. I hope I didn't do.
No, you're good, man. Like I said, that's how you are my brother. You can crack jokes and we can have funnies and stuff like that. Like I stated, and I just need to get some water too while I was at it. But yeah. Like I said, we crack up on it. We crack on it. If your friends at times are not cracking on you, are you really fucking friends? I'm just being real. So I mean, that's the friendship that we have. You can crack jokes. So that's the thing. So if anybody got offended by that, that's on you. Go. It's a podcast. We're friends. We're like brothers. Half of the stuff that's on my wall, PSP got it for me. So, you got a problem with that, like I said, come holler at me. But on that note, I'll say this. There's a lot to be desired as far as Joel Embiid because it's like he's a big what-if story. It's like, what if? What if I could have won it? What if I wouldn't have choked? What if I wouldn't have just neglected myself? What if I wouldn't have done everything? Could I have at least been Shaq? Because the thing is, when he was coming into the league, big man was not in at that time. The small ball was in at the time, so he was very much ahead of his time, bringing the league back into the fold. He started the trend of guys drafting big men once again. Let's just keep it all the way above.
Him and Jokic.
Draft big man all over again, Joel Embiid. So he was ahead of his time of the NBA kind of getting back to where it needed to be. So,
but to play devil's advocate, big fella, and I hate bringing him up, doesn't Jason Whitlock kind of have a point of what he said about Jokic over Embiid?
Yeah, that was the only take that I ever.
That was the only time we ever agreed with Jason Whitlock.
What did he say exactly? I can't remember what he said.
Well, the thing is, he had a show on Fox. Me and my father used to watch. Shout out to my father, by the way.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. And he said, and he used to have this thing called Hot Take. And he said, isn't it time, and this was early in their career, isn't it time to call Jokic the process and call Joel Embiid the Joker? Because when you look at the process of winning championship, Jokic is taking those steps. Remember, Jokic lost all that weight. He came in looking solid. Year 3, 4, 5, and 6. Joel Embiid was still having health problems. He was getting better here and there, but it wasn't. It's a lot of flash and no substance. Basically, what he was saying. But that was one of the few times I ever agreed with Jason Whitlock. A lot of times I don't, but yeah, sometimes if you listen to him and you listen to educate yourself and not to be upset, he can bring up some valid points. But sometimes that cat can be so extreme.
Except about Joy Taylor.
Huh?
Except about Joy Taylor.
I mean, never mind. I'm not. Let me not get kicked off the air for this shit. But,
You'll never be kicked off the air in the Sports PSP pod. You're always family.
Let me not get kicked off the air because of this shit. But when he talked about her, did he lie? The thing is, a lot of the shit that he was saying, she's openly admitted to. I'm just being real. When you're telling on yourself, you're dry snitching on yourself, that's kind of crazy.
But did Cam Newton lie and tell the world, Jason Whitlock, you're not that guy?
You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
Hey, man, look, everybody gonna get mad. Hey, man, look, BRF, you could attest to this, man. Everybody gets mad when the neighborhood bop ain't giving you no play, so I'm just being real. When the neighborhood bop ain't giving you no play, of course you mad. So, damn, you let, you the neighborhood bop. Now, where's my turn at? So, now you mad. So, of course you're going to be kind of taken back. But, like I said, even the bop has standards. Apparently, you weren't one of them. So, just being real.
All right, fellas, let's move on. Unfortunately, champ, we got to talk about your Lakers. They got swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Unfortunately, with no Luka Doncic. You're going to have to move on from DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Bro, your ass should give every damn check that you made off the Lakers. You need to go get that to charity.
DeAndre faking.
Because for them 4 games, you need to give your debt. You need to go out there to Staples Center, and you need to give every person out there your damn check, because you didn't do nothing in that arena. I hope you went to the bathroom and peed before you left the arena, so you can say you did something before you left, because that was nasty what you did.
Jackson Hayes outplayed him, bro.
Yeah, and there's so much to be desired in LA, man. Like I stated, LA, look, man, there's a lot that you got a lot of work to do this summer, man. And it seems like it's been that ever since the bubble championship. Matter of fact, it's been like that since Kobe unfortunately retired. It's just all this patchwork and rebuild. I don't think we're drafting very, very well. I think that we're making trades in order to build fast and stay relevant, which Los Angeles loves a winner. But if you're honest with the fans, I think they will put up with, you being on the downside for a little bit. But you gotta re-sign Austin Reeves. You gotta find a big man. You gotta see what you're gonna do about LeBron and see if he's gonna be there. Him and Bronny. You gotta see what you're gonna do, because this team is not gonna get it. Nearly 90% of our roster is free agents next year. Nearly 90, with the exception of Luka. So Austin Reeves has to be re-signed. Got to get a big man, because DeAndre Ayton ain't worth a bucket of warm spit. So that's just how it goes. It's like, I can't. And the thing is, look, the easy way out is, LeBron. But
was DeAndre Ayton. You mean DeAndre? I ain't taken. DeAndre, I ain't taken.
It's just.
You look like DeAndre. I ain't taking. I ain't helping out the Lakers. I mean, he was that bad, but not only that bad in the playoffs, champ. He was overall bad throughout the season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was not good at all.
Yeah, it's just time to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. It's time to revamp that roster. It's time to get you a comparable big man. It's time to draft. You build in the draft. I understand that the Lakers are the city of stars and the city of angels, but you have to have that one player that's homegrown. You have to. You have to. I know we're used to the big trades with LA. We're used to the big trades with Paul Gasol. We're used to the big free agent acquisitions with Shaq and Meta World Peace. We're used to that. But it's time that we build something in this draft so that we can get something going. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. You need to draft better. So that way you won't have to depend on free agents. That way you won't have to depend on a little bit of, broken chemistry, just bringing players in. And look, we on the new ownership right about now, man. They're not going to take this shit. So Rob Pelinka, you better do something fast. Otherwise, you might find yourself out there door because you already behind the eight ball because the man you got fired as the president of basketball operations is not your boss. Yeah, Magic Johnson is your boss now. So, you better get it together fast because Mr. Mark Walter, that dude don't play about winning. If you have any other inklings about how that man don't play about winning, look at the Dodgers right now. Off a back-to-back championship trying to go for a repeat, for a three-peat, excuse me. The Braves gonna stop you from getting there, but I digress. There's a lot to be decided there, man. The Lakers, it's a lot of hype, no substance, and just a lot of hype, no substance. We're essentially the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA, man. I've said it once, I've said it again. We're the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. We get all
I think the Dallas Cowboys would be offended by that because of what they've had in the offseason. They've had an excellent offseason. At least they've done some things in the draft and with free agency. I mean, now I'm being honest, champ. You know how critical I am with Jerry Jones, but we gotta give credit for what he has done in the offseason. You gotta give him that.
The thing is, but that's not how you're measured as. You're measured in Dallas, much like you are in LA championships.
And I understand that, but I understand that, but Dallas Cowboys at one point they used to have as many Super Bowls. They still have 5 Super Bowls. All they need is for Jerry to stay out the way. But the problem is, champ, J.J. Redick was the head coach. You moved on from Darvin Ham. There were questions about him. J.J., did you bring him in because of his rapport with Braun? And then you have to ask yourself, okay, I like Rui Hachimura. I love what he can do as far as being a scorer and also a defender.
He showed up. He showed up in that series. He did.
He has stepped up for the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell at the time when you acquired him, okay, you moved. Okay, it seemed like to me you just needed to get a point guard because you had issues with Russell Westbrook. So you brought in D'Angelo Russell, but D'Angelo Russell it still wasn't going to be enough. You're just going to have to draft and develop players. But with the Lakers, the fans, they need to be patient. It takes culture. It takes time in order for you to identify the talent and develop it. You've also mentioned that it's time for them to hand the keys to Luka. Yeah. And Luka, before the playoffs, unfortunately the hamstring injury, he was balling. And when Luka is in shape, this is what he can give on a nightly basis. Luka had a hell of a season. I just think, champ, and to make matters even worse for the Lakers, Dillon Brooks. He had to be there in Game 4. I mean.
Looking like I said, he looked just like that dude that snitched on Queen and Slim in that movie, bro. That dude at the end that was counting all that money. He looked just like that dude. But like I said, rightfully so, man. Look, you swept. You beat my team within a net. You beat my team to life. I'm gonna hate on your downfall. And the thing is, people don't want to acknowledge that. It's like, yeah, it's because you beat my team. I'm gonna hate you because you beat my team. There's a lot to be desired. I believe. Look, 3 things that you need to be worried about. Re-sign Luke Kennard, re-sign Austin Reeves, get you a big man, see where it goes. And look, man, I understand I like J.J. Redick, but guess what, man? Get you a true coach in there and give him more than just 5 years. Get you a true-ass coach in there that's gonna change the culture. Get you a true coach in there. I wouldn't mind you going after Thibs at this point, but get you somebody true in there that's gonna change the culture and get you back to where you were. Bring in a culture changer. Bring in somebody who's gonna do a lot of things. I know Tom Thibodeau has his ways as far as players and running players into the ground, but you need something. Stop bringing in these damn podcasters and these other coaches and trying to just pull a miracle out of your behind simply off the strength that your team has talent. If anything showed you that talent alone doesn't win championship, look at the Lakers before they hired Phil Jackson. They had 4 damn All-Stars. They had Nick DeQuick, Eddie Jones, Shaq, and Kobe. Then they had Elder Campbell. Guess what? With Dale Harris at the helm, they kept losing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Finally got Phil Jackson, got him over the hump. So there is a lot to be desired. I question the coaching. I question what they're going to do. I think this front office that they have right now, they on their last leg. I think Rob Pelinka's on his last leg. And, I think what saved his job for at least a couple more years was that robbery we call a trade for Luka. I think that saved it, because if he hadn't pulled nothing off soon, that would have been something, that would have been a whole nother ball game. But you got to dig deep. You got to see who fits this team. Not just the biggest names out there in free agency this year, because there's going to be a big-ass free agency this year. But you got to see who fits this team. Who fits with Luka, Austin Reed, Luke Kennard, Rui Hachimura is going to be there. You got to see who fits this team. You got to get DeAndre Ayton his walking papers and get him up out of there. So you got to do a lot of work this offseason. Rob Pelinka, you don't. I'm afraid
you're going to have to send him to FedEx then.
Huh?
Send him to FedEx.
Yeah. A UPS one, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like I said, that dude, I'm going to just be real. We have a saying down south, and you know what I'm
Whoa.
You too big to be that damn sorry.
Yeah, you too big to be that damn sorry.
Everybody follows you, bro, you too big to be that damn sorry. It just don't make no sense. Damn. What the hell? In the great words of the guy from Malibu's Most Wanted, all that buffness for nothing. What the hell? I mean, soft as a marshmallow. What the hell? What are you doing? I mean, don't want no contact post.
My bad. I can't stop laughing.
I mean, damn, bro. I mean, they killing us in the middle because of you. And guys, one more thing before we move on. Cut out all these fake GOAT conversations. Guys, GOAT conversations is narrative driven. It's narrative driven. Because the minute that, LeBron won without, look, let it go. I mean, the thing is, we're so quick to want to have a story in this business that we'll point to anything in order to try to grab onto. Cut out the GOAT conversation. LeBron is great in his own right. Mike was great in his own right. And Michael don't even like them damn conversations. So can't we just let it go? The GOAT conversation.
Big fella, in the words of Vince McMahon, there's no chance in hell that's going to happen.
Again, like I said, the guy who we call the GOAT doesn't even want that conversation.
Yes, but you know how social media is. You know how the public and the media is. That shit is not going away. You know that.
Yeah, no.
You know that. It's not going away, just like you can't stay away from them damn women. I mean, you're doing your part staying away from the damn fridge, but you can't find a way to stay away from the damn women. So what the hell makes you think they're going to stop having the GOAT conversations? They're not going to stop having these GOAT conversations. Unfortunately, Champ is going to be here to stay. So no matter what you say or what you're trying to plead, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. That's like, I mean, the Mahomes, Brady, GOAT conversations, it's not going to stop happening. Unfortunately, people are still going to feed into narratives and all that other stuff. That's just unfortunately how it goes. We can just, I mean, but hey.
It is what it is, but like I said, even the GOAT himself, much like the GOAT of hockey, Wayne Gretzky, he don't like them conversations. So when the quote unquote GOAT says, there is no GOAT, man. Let's just cut it out. It's like, stop trying to use me in conversations where I really don't want to be in. So
But that's not gonna stop happening.
yeah,
I mean,
but
come on. I mean,
it's
think about it,
it's
champ. Think
time
about it,
there.
champ. Think about.
It's a time
But that's
there.
my point. But that's my point. You sent me an article about First Take on their ratings, how they were last week when they brought in Skip Bayless, and when they were having a discussion about Michael Jordan and LeBron James, Skip Bayless had him top nine. I had him ninth on his
Had
list.
him ninth. Ninth.
Don't nobody
Skip.
want
Skip need to say less is what his name need to
to
be.
Why do you think? But champ,
need to
I'm not
treat you like a
surprised.
kangaroo.
Why do you think I did not even take the time to watch the entire episode? I saw clips here and there, but I wasn't interested in watching Skip back on First Take. Why? Because people are gonna spew in bullshit. That's just how it is. So at the same time, I'm not gonna be surprised. Even with LeBron losing in the final or losing in the playoff series, champ, there's still gonna be more GOAT conversations. Don't be surprised that's gonna happen. Unfortunately,
Oh, bro,
that's
they
just
had to-
how it goes.
Let me tell you something. If the Lakers had won that series against Oakland, like I saw Dwayne had made a comment talking about some whenever he loses, they like to bring up the coach conversation. Oh, that works. That works if he.
Dwayne,
That works
chill,
when he
bro.
win. That works when. I'm just saying that works. That works when he
Dwayne,
wins
chill,
too.
bro.
That works when he wins too. Because I promise you, if LeBron had won that series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, they had some in the clip ready to go.
Hey,
I'm
man, look at that
I'm
comment
just
that
saying.
Dwayne made, bro.
Yeah.
Dwayne, you got to chill, bro.
Mm,
Dwayne, you got to
mm,
chill, big homie.
ooh,
That's
mm,
nasty work right there.
mm.
So
Boy, and he from. Shut up,
yeah,
Rodrigo. Don't say
that
it. Don't say
conversation
it.
has to stop, man. And at this
Don't.
point, it's a tired conversation. It's like, who's to go? Who's to go? Who's to go, bro? There's a lot more basketball conversation that we can start rather than who's the darn goat. I mean, and like I stated, even when the man himself that we proclaim to be the goat doesn't want to be, is saying there is no goat, and then we're still trying to have these conversations. Like, let it go, bro. It's enough's enough. Like enough's enough. So, hey. So it's that time. Right about now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are down by 10. Well, they're down by 11, and it's not looking good for them at this point. And they have a chance in order to close it out, but they're not taking advantage of the opportunity as usual. I mean, that per usual. So that's just what's going on. But
Shout out to answer to the call and oh God, Dwayne, damn.
bro, Dwayne, you got to chill, bro. Chill out.
Ooh,
Chill out,
ooh, ooh,
Not the T
ooh.
word.
Mm.
Nasty word. But yeah, it's time to stop
Man.
this conversation. But the Lakers, y'all got a lot of work to do in the offseason. Rob Pelinka, I'm hoping that you get it together. Otherwise, you might be getting them papers. This a big offseason for you, Rob Pelinka. Like I said, that Luka trade bought you some time.
It really did.
But it bought you some time. Because you was able to pull that off and not have to be so heavily relying on LeBron and Chandelier Davis. You didn't have to rely on them that much more, no more.
Chandelier.
Now, you have a chance to build around a superstar in his prime. What are you going to do now? There's your chance. Because like I said, that Luka trade bought you some time. How much time are you going to let go by? Because guess what? The worst thing that can happen than Luka being traded to the Lakers is wasting his great prime at the Lakers. That would be an even bigger shame than the trade itself. Because how would the Lakers be remembered if they wasted the prime of a great player? Think about how many great players who went to the Lakers in their prime and was able to win a championship. Their name got bigger than it ever was. Think about the reputation that this franchise would have, even with the 18 championships, if they wasted Luka's prime. There's a lot to be desired there. You got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do.
BRF, is there anything you want to add before we may talk about a little bit of WNBA?
I mean, I called this before the series was started. I mean, I said the Lakers would be lucky to get a game in this series. I felt like the matchup was just too Oklahoma City dominant. I mean, the weakness showed in all four games. DeAndre Ayton against Chet Holmgren. That was the weakness. I knew. You can look at some series like this and you know where the weakness is. You know where the advantage is. Like where the Lakers can play the perimeter game. You got Braun, you got Austin Reeves, you got Rui Hachimura. You got those guys that can give you buckets from the perimeter, make their jump shots. It was going to come down to the front court. It was going to come down to the center spot. DeAndre Ayton. It's DeAndre Ayton. I think right now, to be as highly touted of a player as he was coming out of Arizona, and then the seasons that he was able to put up in Phoenix, you thought he was really about to blossom into something really really special, and now you're seeing him. He's like the biggest. He looks like one of the biggest waste of spaces in the NBA. You are too talented of a player. You have an amazing mid-range game. You can play in the post when you want. You are a decent rebounder. You have too much talent to just let it waste like that. Like he was just going through the motions. Like it's like he didn't want to do anything. I knew where the matchup was, and that's why I said the Lakers would be lucky to get a game because I knew OKC with their front court, their ability to run the floor, their ability, like they can play half court, they can play transition. They're obviously great defensively in transition or when they have to set up in the half court. They do everything. They're deep. They're like 9-10 deep. I mean, Oklahoma City. I just knew. You just know you know this you know this stuff when you look at certain series like this. I just knew the Lakers really had no shot here, and it didn't shock me at all that they got swept. I just felt the Thunder were just too good for LA because at the end of the day, Oklahoma City they're gonna get theirs. They're gonna be able to hit their shots. They're gonna be able to execute. It was gonna be up to the Lakers to keep up, and I just knew they weren't gonna be able to keep up. And then ultimately, it just really came down to
And
the
of
only
course,
shot for,
OKC's defense.
and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like OKC, right? I would say probably right now the two best defensive teams in the league right now. I think are going to end up playing in the conference finals, and that's OKC and San Antonio. I think
That's
that's what
a fact.
I think that's what the Western Conference Finals are going to end up being. Um, I just knew they were going to be too much. The Lakers had to keep up with them. They had to hit shots, and they could, and I just knew it wasn't going to go down like that. So that series absolutely did not shock me at all that they got swept. It did not shock me at all the way with DeAndre Ayton. Ultimately, the OKC Thunder are just men on a mission, wanting to repeat. So that series did not shock me one bit. It didn't shock me at all that they got swept like that. It didn't shock me at all.
The reason why I'm laughing is because I think Champ right now, if Champ wants to do something to get the Lakers' attention, Rob Palinka's attention, he's going to have to terrify Rob Palinka. Wrestling. Do you remember how Undertaker kidnapped Teddy Long in the limo?
Yes.
And remember, Teddy Long came out of the limo, entered the ring, looking all scared and telling CM Punk tonight, you're gonna go with one on one with the Undertaker. That's what they need to do to Rob Palenka to tell him, listen, you better get your shit together, otherwise we're gonna get you up out of here.
So tonight you will go one on one with the Undertaker.
I remember that segment too because he had him go up against the Undertaker that night, and then booked him in the Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship at the pay per view.
You will also face the Undertaker tonight. But there got to be something done. Otherwise, you're gonna have your walking papers within the next 2 years, bro. I'll give it 2 years. 2 years.
Let's continue on with some basketball. With some WNBA. I saw the Atlanta Dream came back against the Minnesota Lynch after being down that many points. Alicia Gray so far has been playing well. Fourth in the WNBA as far as scoring right now. Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever is leading the WNBA in scoring as we speak. Angel Reese with 15 rebounds, no surprise. Rebounding demon. Champ, you covered the WNBA. What have you been impressed so far or unimpressed?
The biggest story of the WNBA is in Las Vegas right now. Kennedy Carter.
Yes,
Kennedy
because after that first game in the season opener against the Phoenix Mercury, they got smacked. But in the following game, she ended up scoring 20 or more points.
Yes, she scored 20 or more points in the last 2 games, coming off the bench. I will say that again, coming off the bench. And remember, just a year ago, she wasn't even in the W at that point. She was playing in Mexico. She had been essentially blackballed for whatever reason for at least a year. But big ups to Coach Teaspoon, who was her coach in Chicago, was able to talk to Becky Hammond in that organization and get her back in the W. And she's paying dividends for the Las Vegas Aces right about now. Right now, she has almost 16 points right now. And they are up on the Connecticut Sun by 11. So you just can't do it much better than that. I think that's one of the biggest stories in the league because it's just, when you think about any dynasty, they always bring in a quote-unquote high-risk, high-reward type of player. Every dynasty has done that in order to extend itself. When you think about Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, remember they brought in guys like J.R. Ryder and Glenn Rice. Think about it. When you think about the Bulls dynasty, they brought in Dennis Rodman. When you think about the Lakers dynasty at the beginning of the 80s, they brought in a guy by the name of Bob McAdoo, high risk, high reward player. They thought he didn't have any much more left when he was in Boston, but they was able to trade and bring him in. So there's always going to be that dynasty, especially when it's knee deep in championships, that's going to bring in that high risk, high reward player in order to keep them over the hump. And I think that Kennedy Carter is that player for the Las Vegas Aces at this point. Another story I don't think people are talking about, the New York Liberty. Remember, Satu Sabali is out. Sabrina Ionescu, she's out. They're still averaging over 100 points a game. They're still averaging over 100 points a game.
And they just beat the Portland Fire last night 100-82.
Yes. So that is another story. Atlanta is another story. Adversity, but they got to stop getting off to these slow starts. You know, because in the first half, they look flat as hell at a certain point. They come out in the second half, it's just like they're a whole nother team. So I think that's one team. One of the wild card teams that I'm watching right now as we're doing the show is the Washington Mystics. They have a big four, a starting 5 in the making that should be special. They have Shakari Richardson, they have Shakira Austin, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. They have Lauren Betts, they have Georgia Moore, they have Sonia Citron, Kiki Ariafrin, and Cootie McMahon. And Lauren Betts is coming off the bench. So they have a team in the making. And
Lauren
they
Betts
just
is coming off the bench. That's crazy.
Exactly. Lauren Betts is coming off the bench. The reigning national champion player of the year.
It's
Lauren
coming
Betts is
off the bench. That's
So-
crazy.
By the way, the Mystics are up 14 against the Fever.
And I'm sorry, but Caitlin Clark has shot 2 for 13 in this game.
207 from downtown.
Yeah, 2 of 7 for downtown. So it has not been a good shooting night. And so now, am I going to use this opportunity to do the Caitlin Clark slander? Hell no. But the thing is, she has to play better. And we have to acknowledge that this offense has to be run through Kelsey Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
We have to acknowledge that. It's time for us to acknowledge that.
So
You
what?
know.
You think it's time for Caitlin Clark to be the second or the third option?
Well, the thing is, they talked about her playing more off ball. Right now, her shooting is not that good. Even before this game, she was 3 of 19 from 3-point in the last 2 games. And
Yeah.
they brought up the conversation of her playing off ball. this season. That's one of the big reasons why they brought in Raven from South Carolina.
By the way, if you look at it with Caitlin Clark over the last 2 games, you know her 3-point percentage? 18.8%.
Yeah. So it's nasty. It's not looking good. Now you got to ask your question: is she hurt at this point? Because her back.
Well, that can't be a problem or excuse anymore, considering the fact that you've had enough time in the off season to make sure that you're in condition and in shape, champ. And plus, you've mentioned before how Kelsey Mitchell took over the load for you. But the thing is, they're still gonna make Caitlin Clark the face of their team. Because after all, people have the perception of Caitlin Clark being the face of the WNBA. Do I think Caitlin Clark is a huge commodity? Yes. Do I think she's the best player? Obviously not. I have Asia. If I had to throw in Caitlin Clark, she's probably around in that 9, 10, 11-ish range. Do I think Caitlin Clark at this point is overhyped? Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you want to say overrated, that's fair to say. Because given the hype and the expectations she's had, and given the fact that Kelsey Mitchell has played substantially better than her right now, that is something to say. Given the hype that Caitlin Clark had coming out of college, and with Caitlin Clark, remember, people have forgotten how great she was her rookie year. Not only she was in the discussion for Rookie of the Year, but MVP. And what we saw from last season and so far now hasn't been close to that. So I will say, look, it's only been 3 games. There's still a lot of body of work, but there has to be a substantial upgrade with Caitlin Clark. Otherwise, what's the point? But I'm not going to go as far as the gentleman who was on the Craig Canton show and called her the Jeremy Lin of the WNBA. I'm not going to do that. We still need to wait and see for more evidence. But Caitlin Clark has not lived up to it. But meanwhile, people criticize Angel Reese all they want. Yes, with her inside scoring. Yes, with her lack of perimeter shooting. Angel Reese is still consistent. She's still going to give you around 10, 12 points and 14, 15 boards.
Yeah. And the thing is, the difference, I want to explain to people the difference between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. We're not putting her in conversation of being better than Asia Wilson.
No, we're not.
We're not putting Angel Reese in a conversation of being top 10 in the league. Now, she's one of the biggest and recognizable faces in the league, but we're not putting her in conversations with Breanna Stewart, Asia Wilson, Alyssa Thomas. We're not putting her in those conversations because she doesn't belong in those conversations. When you are considered top tier and you're being put in conversations with Asia Wilson, when you're being put in conversations with Alyssa Thomas, when you're getting put in conversation with Breanna Stewart, with Nafisa Correa, and etc., guess what? You got to live up to that height. And you have to at least be the best player on your team. Right now, Asia Wilson is the undisputed best player on that team. There are a lot of good players on that team, but she's the undisputed best player. Nafisa Correa, she's the best player on that team. Breanna Stewart, the best player on that team. Look at what she's doing without a lot of her co-stars at this point in the form of Sabrina Ionescu and Satu Sabli. When you're being put in conversations to be the absolute best in the league, you have to at least be the best on your team first. And I'm sorry, you shooting 2 from 16 and then shooting 18% from 3-point.
18.8%.
Not going to cut it.
Well, only time will tell, champ. But right now with Caitlin Clark, and I don't want to hear the excuses about Caitlin Clark not having enough time or her conditioning. That's your job as a professional athlete. Your job is to be in shape. Your job is to be in condition. You've had enough time after your second season to make sure you be able to recuperate. And you're still producing like this? No, there has to be something. I don't know. We still got only time will tell. Hopefully for Caitlin Clark, she elevates and becomes the player that we know she can be. BRF, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll talk about the Caitlin Clark thing a little bit, then I'll talk about like stories who I like so far in the WNBA. I think with the Caitlin Clark thing, I think the WNBA as a whole, in terms of guarding her, has they know if the 3-point shot ain't going in, she's not she's not in it, or she's not in her full form, because she's not an attacker of the rim like that. So I think in a lot of cases, when you're defending her, you're trying to you're getting her away from the 3-point line, because at the end of the day, even though she's struggling, the minute she hits one, she hits two, and then she's gonna get hot, and then they're gonna start to fall. So you still have to treat her as such. But I think they're getting in her head. They're playing physical with her. They're making her drive. They're making her drive at the basket. They're still making her kick out, because I mean they know how effective she can be. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say she's mentally weak at all, but I am gonna say when that 3-point shot's not going, I think she gets a little timid, and I think these defenses are seeing that and they're taking advantage of that. Whereas with like a Kelsey Mitchell, who I think has absolutely supplanted her as the best player on that team with her consistency and her shot making and all that. I feel like with Caitlin Clark, now it's up to her to adapt with the league understanding her weaknesses in her offensive game. Now it's up to her to adapt back and show like, hey, I can get to the cup when I need to get a bucket. I can take these mid-range shots. I'm not just a 3-point shooter. I'm not just a logo chunker. I'm more than that. She's got to adapt, and she's got to show that in order to really kind of get better and really start to evolve in more of a full form, what we could potentially see in the next 3 to 6 years as far as Caitlin Clark is concerned. Now, as far as some of the biggest stories I've seen in the WNBA, I mean, one of them. I mean, of course, me being a homer, I gotta say the Dream, with the way they've been playing. I mean, we can talk about Angel Reese and the me bounds all they want, but at the end of the day, her perimeter defense, her rim protecting, her playmaking, you see it. And this is what me and Champ were kind of talking about and hinting when you bring a player with the skill set of an Angel Reese to a team like Atlanta, who's got shooters, who's got girls like Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, Jordan Canada, Tahina Papau, girls like that who can go out and just snipe from any point on the court. Then pairing her with someone like a Brianna Jones, also having like a Naz Hillman coming off the bench. I mean, this team has to be one of the deepest units we have in the league. And this is kind of what we were telling people with the Dream when they got Angel Reese, because with her playmaking ability now, as far as like being in the interior, having to, when you're trying to collapse on her and she's able to kick out and being able to really, help, set up her teammates and get these open looks. I think you're gonna see as deadly an offense as Atlanta was last year. You're gonna see an even deadlier one this year. I'm definitely liking like the Liberty. What's the girl's name? Astier. Like with Sabrina Ionescu being hurt and coming in and kind of taking her spot and producing the way she has early so far, not really expecting much from her, being more of a bench person, but coming in and really showing that she can hold her own weight with Sabrina Ionescu being out, and then like with Brianna Stewart not necessarily, being herself yet, even though it's coming. I love seeing like which was it I'm trying to remember, was it Toronto, was it Portland? I'm trying to remember which game. When it was Toronto, I think, that the game winning shot that beat the Liberty, wasn't it Toronto?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think it was Toronto. That shot, like that game winning shot, and just like that crowd reaction. Like I like stuff like that. An expansion franchise winning a game like that. That does a lot for the fan base. That does a lot for the team. Like, you're not expecting much from your expansion teams as far as making the playoffs is concerned. But at the same time, a win like that really boosts morale and can really get them going to, kind of make more of a season. I like seeing like Paige Becker showing up the way she did last night, kind of having a coming out party that so far this season. Just
Olivia Miles.
bro, I loved watching her in college. I loved watching her at TCU. I knew what she was. I knew what she was going to be at the next level as far as like her playmaking ability, her IQ. I kind of had a feeling like I knew what was about to go down with Olivia Miles. We knew what she was capable of as a point guard, and you're seeing it so far these first couple of games. I think she's going to be a force. I think she's definitely a top. I think she'll be in the top 3, 4 as far as like rookie of the year is concerned. I definitely think she's going to be up there as far as that rookie of the year award is concerned. Like with her, like Lauren Betts is going to be in the running. Of course, AC Fudd is going to be in the running. I
If they stop using
think
her like Danny Green.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I even though it's early and there's definitely some developing stories there in the WNBA. I like what I'm seeing so far. I think this has potential to be the best season in the history of this league. When you look at the depth of the depth of the players, like particularly with this draft class coming in, all the talent that this 2026 draft class is bringing in, this is going to be fun. So all y'all fans out there, if y'all like the WNBA like we do, strap in, buckle up, get ready. This gonna be a roller coaster ride. You don't know. I don't know if you're gonna be ready for it. This is gonna be a fun year.
Just don't just don't take Champ to Magic City right after the WNBA. If Champ says he look, just for the record, Champ loves the WNBA. He loves the money. He wants to make sure the players get their money and recognition. But he also loves them WNBA players for other reasons as well too. So
Bro,
if he says
bro,
otherwise,
chill,
he's lying.
Chill.
Boy, he's paying. He's
Don't
paying.
don't listen to him, ladies and gentlemen.
He's paying.
Again, validating my point. He lying.
Don't listen.
He's
don't
paying.
listen.
We'll just say he's paying homage, going to the WNBA, showing love to the players there, and then he's going to Magic City and having a different kind of homage. If you know what I'm saying.
If you're gonna pay homage to the major leagues, you gotta pay homage to the minor leagues. So I'm just being real. So you gotta pay. Hey, it's a sport, so you gotta pay all attention to the sports. But
I want to, but I can't wait to see Artie Crooks.
yeah, I can't wait to see that. I mean, I can't wait till NC2A season gets started this year because I'm anxious to see where Juju's gonna end up at. And
I'm ready to see what the Washington Mystics are about to be, bro. They are about to be something
right now
serious,
they're
bro.
up by 6 because Caitlin Clark has heated up on them, and she just shot 2 consecutive threes. They're up by 69-65. So,
But
and
shooting 4-17 from the field though. Damn.
yeah, she heated up on them, but yeah, it's crazy right about now. But Sonia Citron, definitely another player we need to watch at this point to be all WNBA at this year because she's definitely doing her thing right about now. So there's a lot. I'm hoping that the Washington Mystics don't blow this game because they was up by at least 15 at one point. So yeah, you can't blow this game. Otherwise, yeah, there's 2 leads you can blew.
And also speaking of more basketball, Detroit is up 92-80 against Cleveland.
And Cleveland. You just can't help it, can you? You just can't help it.
You can't.
But we keep talking about the WNBA and the NBA, but fellas, let's not forget football. Let's not forget that pigskin. The NFL schedule came out for all the games, the Monday night, the Thursday night, the Sunday night football games. You got some Thanksgiving games. You got the Eagles at Cowboys. You got the Chiefs versus Bills. You got the Bears versus Lions on Thanksgiving. See if I can show up right here.
Got the
For the
Falcons
prime,
versus
yep.
versus Lamar Monday Night Football. I will be at that game.
Yep.
And
So
Falcons tickets are on sale for $50 at this point. So get them early. Be all right. We're gonna get you a ticket, bro. We need you at a Falcons game.
why? So you want him to be subjected to them wags?
Man,
We
hell
gonna
them
watch-
wags. I'm going to the game, man. I ain't worried about them.
Yeah, we going for the football, man. But
Boy, I'm going for the football and that cheap concession food, boy. That's what I'm going for.
$20 you can eat good in
Boy, what? That's what
yeah
I'm looking forward to.
yeah $20 you can eat good at Mercedes
What,
Benz.
boy?
Now don't hey, look,
Boy.
$20 you can eat good at Mercedes Benz. Don't try that shit at State Farm Arena at Truist though.
Oh
You're
no,
not gonna
yeah,
eat
no.
good.
I've heard stories of that food, other food in them arenas. No, we can't do that. But I tell you what, I'm going to Mercedes Benz. Like I'm going to, whether I get a hotel room or I go back home. I'm telling you, boy, I'm getting a nap after that game because I'm gonna be full. I'm telling you, that diet is gonna hit.
Yeah. Hey, there's a
Um,
hotel right across the street from it, so that's the one that you could probably get. So, yeah, that'll be
uh,
great, man.
fellas, I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of disappointed with Tennessee for the second consecutive time. No nationally televised games. And look, they've had a good off season. They brought in Robert Saleh, the head coach. They drafted Carnell Tate with the fourth overall pick. Seems like to me Tennessee is not getting enough love. And who knows? This could actually be a team to be reckoned with in the AFC South because we have questions with Houston regarding their quarterback. We've got issues with Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, I don't know if y'all saw the recent haircut that he had. So,
Yeah, he looked like Macaulay Culkin. Bro, you look like a child. You look like Macaulay Culkin on Home Alone. What the hell was that? Then you got them little bangs in front of your damn head like that. Bro. Yeah, damn. You went
Rest,
from
rest in peace to Catherine O'Hara, by the way.
yes.
Got it, yeah.
damn, you went from He-Man to just man.
Went from He-Man to just man.
Man, damn. You already stuck on the field. At least you had the rock going for you. Now you just.
I think some of the games I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what Kansas City is going to do. Whether if Mahomes is going to start guys, because again, Denver at Kansas City, we don't know. But you got to give a lot of credit, champ, to the Kansas City Chiefs. They've done their part in the offseason. I think every team in the NFC East has done its part. The Eagles stealing Malachi Lemon. Also, I mean, the Cowboys, they drafted Caleb Downs. Washington, they get Sonny Styles. Of course, the Giants with Arvell Reese. Every team in the NFC East has gotten better. I still have Philly winning the division. I wouldn't be surprised if you want to say Dallas. I think Dallas will take a step up, and with the new defensive coordinator, because as bad as that defense was last year, and remember, that was also because of Matt Eberflus. And also, to your point, BRF, you often talked about how Trayvon Diggs is one of the most, if not the most, overrated player in the NFL. I think the Cowboys will take a step up, and plus, they also made sure that George Pickens signed that franchise tag. Dak had an excellent season. Let's see if he can do that again. Washington, I did like the fact that we drafted Sonny Styles. We drafted the Clemson wide receiver. We still need help with the DB position. It all comes down to with Jaden Daniels, can he stay healthy? And look, I would hate for Washington if we have to start with another quarterback, because again, look, I've said it before. My only concern I ever had with Jaden Daniels was his size, never his game, never his ability, never his play, his size. If Jaden Daniels can remind folks what he can be, what he was, I love that. I also love the fact with the games being more in London, Melbourne, Australia, making the game more global. So that way that the NFL again, they're trying to do whatever they can to make the sport as global as possible so that they can get their money, they can get their ratings. Okay? Unlike Turning Point USA, who keeps knocking them and criticizing them. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did I lie? Did I lie? Did I lie? Did I lie?
I wasn't expecting
Because they
Turning
talking
Point
about
USA.
making sure they talking about making sure America this, America that. No, NFL's gonna do whatever they want to do just to make sure their sport is global. Because at the end of the day, It's about getting their money. It's about getting their paper.
Ooh.
So as far as with the NFL in that regard, hey, I got no problem with it whatsoever. Big fella, the fact that your ass fall down tells me that I'm speaking the cold, dead honest truth.
That
you
was
know
one.
damn right I'm not lying.
That was one bullet point
That
we
was
were not
CM
expecting
Punk
at that
caliber
time
pipe
frame,
bomb.
though.
That was a CM Punk caliber pipe bomb.
Yeah, pipe bomb, pipe bomb.
Hey, I mean, listen, I love the fact that they're trying to grow the game and become more global. Because at the end of the day, it's about money. And I also hope Turning Point USA also gets pissed because, during that time, they announced who's going to perform at this year's halftime show. Last year was Bad Bunny, and they thought, oh, we're going to do a better job with Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. How'd that turn out for Turning Point USA by having Kid Rock perform in the Super Bowl? Just saying. Just saying.
Kid Rock is officially now known as Hillbilly Vanilli from this point.
You know his first album only sold 100,000 copies. His very first rap album sold only 100,000 copies.
And they talked about how Bad Bunny's music, people like Jason Whitlock and others said his music is satanic. Meanwhile, have we not been aware of Kid Rock and some of his lyrics?
Some of the most weirdest lyrics that you've ever. And I'm saying weird to be kind. I'm being.
You're being
kind.
very generous when you say
Wow.
that.
Shit is weird.
How are they gonna talk about Bad Bunny's music when Kid Rock's claim to fame is ball with a ball, the bang, diggy, diggy, diggy? What? Shut up. Come on.
He stole from Busy Bee.
That's what I'm saying.
He stole that from Busy Bee, a rap legend.
Your claim to fame is a sampled hook. Get out of here.
Again, look, his whole life is kind of vanilla, but you really think about it, he got his start in hip hop with even some of the most iconic hip hop artists vouching for you. You still couldn't sell over 100,000 copies.
You
Remember
came
D-Nice?
out Detroit. You have no
Well,
excuses
Romeo,
to
Romeo.
fail.
He's from Romeo, Detroit. He's from Romeo, Michigan.
I know, but still, the fact that you had like connections like that coming from that area, and you still couldn't really boom like that.
You didn't really start selling until TRL back in your highest selling album was in 2000 when you
During the TRL days.
During the TRL days. So even with D-Nice, guys like D-Nice, Boogie Down Production, KRS-One, and those guys getting behind you, and go back and look at it, and you'll see I'm not lying. And with that ugly ass Ed Grimley high top fade that you had on, even with hip hop artists that were legends, they still could not get you over 100,000 copies with tracks like Yodeling in the Valley. So guess what? Then you switched over. You still kept that Johnny Cash and Grandmaster Flash persona with the Godfather hats and everything. You stole a little bit of country and you put a little bit of classic rock in your wordplay, and you still stayed true to the whole hip hop thing that you adopted. So guess what? If you want to talk about anybody that's Milli Vanilli, it is Kid Rock. Not to mention, I would respect you more if you was from Mississippi or Georgia or somewhere like that. And you had
But you rocking the Confederate flag like
your
he
ass is from Detroit. Sit
Girl, you
ass
know it's
down.
true.
Sit down.
Let me stop. Let me stop.
Like,
Let me
come on,
stop.
man.
Let me stop.
You're the
Let
Vanilli
me
of
stop.
hip-hop and rock and roll because your whole life is fiction. And then guys like that have the nerve to get on stage and try to talk about DEI because your ass never succeeded, even when you had a major machine behind you.
Lord,
and you never got to the heights that you could have gotten to because your music was good, although good, was not transcendent.
Let me tell you something. When you think about those words, when you think of the rap game, Kid Rock is a DEI hire.
There you go.
You only sold 100,000 copies with.
He is a DEI example of hip hop.
For him, he had D-Nice. My name is D-Nice. Voucher for him. KRS. Hell, I even think one of the best groups of all. I even think it
Run
was
DMC.
Yeah, they was saying how good that he was, and you still couldn't sell over 150,000 copies. Your first album.
Couldn't sell away out of a wet paper bag.
But doesn't that
Exactly.
say
So,
something for all them groups, all them artists to be saying all that stuff about you, and nevertheless you still couldn't sell?
and you still couldn't sell, and your first album still went wood. Your first album still went wood.
There you go. But fellas, regarding the schedule right here, I don't know if y'all see it. The Thursday night games. I think the one I am definitely intrigued to see for the Thursday night games, of course, Lions versus Bills, Falcons at Packers September 24th. I'm definitely interested in seeing the Panthers at the Packers. Then December the 3rd, week 13, Kansas City at Los Angeles. The Christmas game between the Texans, Christmas Eve game between the Texans and the Eagles. New Year's Eve, you got the Ravens versus the Bengals, assuming if Joe Burrow could stay healthy. Then for the NFL schedule, the season opener, Monday night between the Broncos versus the Chiefs, Bills, and the Rams, October 12th, PSP's 33rd birthday. So, week 3, you got the Eagles against the Bears. I mean, these are some really good games right here. And then the Sunday night football games, of course, week 1, you got the Cowboys at the Giants. Then week 3, you got the Rams at the Broncos. Then after in like 10 years, you got the Lions at the Panthers. Week 5 for y'all, Ravens
Baltimore.
at Falcons.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will be in the house on that game.
Week 6, you got Cowboys at Packers. Then you got the Chiefs at Seahawks. Week 8, you got the Eagles at Commanders. So, really interesting to see. I mean, there's going to be some interesting games. So, I know, Champ, you're going to definitely go to that Baltimore-Atlanta game. BRF, is there any game you look at this season? This is the game I got to see. I got to turn on the TV and watch.
Well, I love. A game a lot of people thought was going to happen had Bo Nix not gotten hurt in the AFC title game. That Seahawks Broncos game looked spicy.
Yes.
That one excites me as a fan. I like that. But apparently there was a story today that came out by a reporter saying, okay, that week 4 Monday night game, the Falcons and that Monday night game, the Falcons and the Saints. That is the 20th anniversary of the dome coming game, the Hurricane Katrina game. That's the 20th anniversary. Apparently, there's a story came out saying the Falcons were trying to duck that game, and the NFL gave it to them anyway. Look, just for that story coming out, I hope we go to New Orleans and run them out of their own building for that game. Like saying, oh, they tried to. The Falcons were ducking that game. They wanted no part of that game because that's the dome coming game. Because 20 years ago, we were the first victims of them coming back to the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina. The Steve Gleason block punt, and just the domination from that point on. So we were the victims of that, and they're saying we were trying to duck it. Like, come on, like, yo, we
weren't even sure if the team was still going to stay in New Orleans because it's championship. They were going to move to San Antonio.
Exactly. So it's like what are we doing, like just saying stuff just to say stuff? I'm not really feeling that. But honestly though, it's Falcons Saints. It's that rivalry. So there's no way you can't get excited for that one. But yeah, like I say the one I'm really looking forward to, just because that was almost the Super Bowl. That Seahawks Broncos game looks spicy. I'm definitely feeling that. I do like the international games. I think we got Cincinnati and Madrid. I did like the can you go back to the schedule with the international ones?
Let me see if I could try to find it. No, these are the Sunday night football. That's the Monday night.
Okay, there up you had it. It was the preview. It was the last screen. All right, yep, here we go. That Steelers Saints one in Paris. That was more of an interesting one than people are giving it credit for, because of the Saints and how a lot of people are kind of raving as far as like, what they've done, in the offseason to really improve their roster. Trying,
Yeah.
as far as the team on the come up, I definitely like that Paris game with the Steelers and the Saints. Another one here, the Monday night game that I'm look that December 7th, Cowboys Seahawks. That's an interesting one as well. With what Seahawks being the defending champs, the Dallas Cowboys being one of the most improved teams in the National Football League coming into the new year. So they're, like I said, those are like just a few matchups that I'm like really excited about for the upcoming season. I think that Seahawks Broncos one is the one that's really I'm like hyped about, just because that was almost a Super Bowl, and I want to see as far as like how they match up in against each other, how the Super Bowl could have played out had Seattle played Denver. So that's a really really intriguing matchup.
I got to be honest with you. I want to see how the Patriots handle the Seahawks. Not because of the Super Bowl rematch, but in all seriousness, all jokes aside, how is Mike Vrabel going to handle this season? Considering the controversy he has been throughout the offseason between him and Diana Rossini. So I think how he handles himself during the season, this is going to be a huge test for him. Because obviously, Diana Rossini, she's no longer there working with The Athletic. To me, champ, the reason why I said before, Mike Vrabel, he's not going to be out the door because he's just fresh off a Super Bowl appearance. He has connections to the Patriots organization. So you're not going to let him go. It's interesting to see how he handles himself with this season. Because if the Patriots have enough leverage, enough evidence to say, all right, you know what, based on production, you haven't shown us, despite of the controversy that you are in, that you know what, it's just time for us to move on. That's going to be interesting to see. The Falcons is interesting to see. Kevin Stefanski, first year as a head coach. Tua, I believe he's going to be starting because, again, with Michael Penix Jr.'s injuries. And James Pierce Jr., he lucky. To say lucky would be an enormous understatement, champ. As you've mentioned in detail, with the whole situation with I think her name is Rakia Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't know what commissioner's going to do. He could either put him on the commissioner's exempt list. He still could face a suspension. Either way, you're lucky you're still remaining on this roster. Given the fact that you mentioned, champ, with Atlanta and how Atlanta is, obviously with the culture and with black women, because we saw what happened with Ray Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine in a place like Atlanta, the market and how it is with black women?
That's why I want Stephon Diggs nowhere
it's
near
gonna be
Atlanta.
it's gonna be a telling sign because of it's gonna be.
Well,
a
he may
telling
go
sign.
to he may go to DC.
Yeah,
That's from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Atlanta's one of the big rumored teams for Stephon Diggs. That man needs to be not
Oh,
nowhere
him and
near
Cardi
Hill.
him and Cardi will definitely plan something down there. I mean, Champ
Yeah,
will probably
boy.
stop by and have a visit just
Boy.
to see Cardi. You know,
Well,
Cardi stops by at the ATL from time to time.
Yeah, we know it's Cardi. Y'all like Cardi. Cardi's cool. Cardi's cool. I like Cardi. So.
But speaking on football, I thought about this subject. Kyler Murray or CJ Stroud? Which QB has the most to prove? I'm going to go on this one. I would say CJ Stroud. Even though I could look at Kyler Murray, and when you look at the weapons that he has around him in Minnesota, with TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, of course. Do they still have Aaron Jones on the roster?
I think so, but
I think they do.
I think so, but I have to check.
But you have Kevin O'Connell there as the offensive mind. CJ has the most to prove because, number one, first of all, you're trying to compete for that bag. You're looking for a new contract. That's number one. Number two, you haven't resembled to the player you were from your rookie season. At this point, you are the Michael Carter Williams of football. Tremendous rookie season, but since that time, BRF and I, we thought that the Houston Texans would at least make it to the conference championship game. And look, even after that terrible playoff performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, to which Champ called it, expect C.J. Stroud to throw an interception or two in that game. Lord and behold, he threw 4 interceptions in one half. He became the first player in a single postseason to have 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles or more. In a single postseason. Now, C.J. Stroud, so far, has looked like he's had a good offseason. It's reported that he's lost some weight. He's even cut his dreads. He's even doing some things to try to resurrect his career. I think C.J. Stroud, to me, is under the most pressure or has the most to prove compared to Kyler because Houston, everything is set for you. You have the head coach. You have the defense. Now, there's still questions with the offensive line, to which their credit, they've addressed so far. There's going to be issues with Tank Dell. Can he stay healthy? And shout out to our guy Trent, because Trent has raved about Tank Dell coming out of Houston. Nico Collins, we got to wait and see if he could stay healthy. And you should be the quarterback in that AFC South. We're not even sure if it's you. Could be Trevor. Hell, it could be Cam Ward at this point because the Tennessee Titans have taken a huge step. You're not even considered the best quarterback in that draft class. It's either you or Bryce Young. You can make a case for Bryce Young.
We shouldn't even be having this conversation. That is so crazy.
But shout out to the Panthers organization. Shout out to David Tepper, because when he took over for the infamous owner, Jerry Richardson, he was falling behind. Remember, there was the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars when he got into a fight with some of the fans. He even threw, some type of alcohol drink in front of the fans, remember? And he was fined 6 figures. But their head coach, so far, they've done a good job. They've gotten him some weapons, particularly with Cooper. You've talked about the wide receiver McMillan, who you've raved about, BRF. You look at what they've done with the defense, with Derek Brown, drafting J.C. Horn. Shout out to our good guy, Harrison. When I look at Kyler, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him to improve. But Minnesota, Chicago, assuming if they don't move to Indiana, still Chicago, they're better. Green Bay is still going to be better. Now, in fairness, the amount of injuries that they've had, from Micah Parsons with the ACL, of course, Tucker Kraft, Green Bay kind of fell apart. So, assuming if they can stay healthy, and by the way, Matt LaFleur is under the hot seat, has to be under more of a hot seat. Because again, blowing that big lead in that playoff game against Chicago, I think he's under the hot seat. They're not going to let him go because he's too damn good of a head coach. Although I wish for BRF and Champ's case, imagine if he actually landed in Atlanta. Y'all wouldn't mind. Plus, he has connections around that ATL area. I think for CJ, he is under the most pressure or has the most to prove because I need to get the bag. I need to remind folks who I was. Had I played exponentially better, we would make it to the AFC Championship game. We have made the playoffs every year since I've been the starter, and I've won playoff games, but I haven't been the same player as I was, and Davis Mills stepped in and looked better last year compared to CJ. So if CJ Stroud still wants to make a case, and oh, by the way, he played in Ohio State. Because Ohio State has this reputation of quarterbacks not succeeding or having success in the NFL. As we all know, Ohio State is wide receiver U. From Marvin Harrison, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Terry McMillan, obviously now with Carnell Tate, Emeka Ibuka, Jeremiah Smith, Sooner or later, Chris Henry Jr., son of the late great Chris Henry, rest his soul. I mean, the plethora of wide receivers. So I think with CJ Stroud, he's under some pressure. Kyler is under some pressure, but not as much as CJ, because I don't think there's any expectations for Minnesota to win that division or make the playoffs. Kyler's expectations, you should play better considering the talent you have, and more importantly, it's J.J. McCarthy, who the Vikings, looking back, made a mistake trading up that high to take him with the 10th overall pick. So whoever wants to go, I have CJ under the most pressure or the most to prove.
I'll go on this one. I'm with you. I definitely think it's C.J. Stroud. I'm looking at it. I mean, I think they're both on kind of like different parts of the spectrum as far as like, as far as like needing to prove a lot. Because I think Kyler does have a lot to prove as well, going to a team like Minnesota, but having like an offense like kind of constructed, ready to go. Justin Jefferson is there. Jordan Addison is there. T.J. Hawkinson is there. I think Aaron Jones is still on the roster. You have a solid offensive line. I mean, the pieces are put in place for you to kind of have a bounce back year compared to what you were doing your last legs as far as like what with the Arizona Cardinals is concerned. But I definitely think C.J. Stroud is the most approved because we remember that rookie year. Offensive rookie of the year, took the team to the playoffs, won a playoff game. I mean, we remember that rookie year. We remember how good you looked like right out the gate. Your accuracy, your arm strength, your ability to throw the deep ball, your ability to move in the pocket, your ability to make plays in structure, out of structure. We saw it all. And then it's just like you just gradually declined over the last couple of years. Basically, you really can't get more rock bottom than what you did against the New England Patriots in the divisional round of the playoffs. You really can't get any more rock bottom than that. They win that game if you play adequate level football. Because that defense, you had no reason being in that game as long as you were. That speaks to the levels of how good the Houston Texans defense was. Because I felt that is a Super Bowl caliber defense. And it got better. Because not only do you have Will Anderson, not only do you have Danielle Hunter on that defensive line, you drafted Caden McDonald from Ohio State to put in the middle between those two beasts at defensive end. So your defensive line just got even better with that Houston Texans front. So that defense is ready to go as far as bringing that city a championship. If C.J. Stroud can just find some of that magic, some of that skill set, some of that talent he displayed back in his rookie year, where we thought Houston was like the next team up as far as like, contending for the next decade, being in the running for Super Bowl appearances, AFC Championship appearances. If he could find that, this team can go a long way. Because it's not like he doesn't have the talent to do it. Because he has the talent to do it. And it's not like he doesn't have pieces around him. And granted, do they need to stay healthy? Absolutely. But we know Nico Collins has top 5 receiver in the league upside. He's in top 5 receiver conversation. Tank Dell as a number 2 when he was healthy was arguably the best secondary target in the league at one point, as good as he was playing. And Dalton Schultz, really good and reliable target at the tight end position. And I just feel like they did it. Is the offensive line like? Do we feel like the offensive line is where it needs to be? Only time will tell. They did address it in the offseason, but C.J. Stroud really has to take that step forward and really become that guy to get Houston to where they want to be, which is ultimately contending to get to the Super Bowl, which we know that defense is ready. That offense has to make way and kind of carry their own weight apart from that defense, because we know what that defense is going to do. In my opinion, best secondary in football with Stingley and Kamari Lassiter. That secondary I think is the nastiest in football. They are good. They are really good. And this team is ready to. I think this team is ready to make that jump. He has to be the key for this offense. If he can unlock this offense, if they're just, I feel like this. If this is a 24 to 25 point a game offense, this team can get to the Super Bowl because we know what this defense is capable of. If they're a 23 to 25 point per game offense on a weekly basis with this defense, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. But C.J. Stroud has got to take that next step. So I'm with you. C.J. Stroud has the most to prove, and yeah, and not to mention, you want to stay around. You don't want to go nowhere. You want to be the franchise guy here with the Houston Texans. You want that bag. You want that second contract with this team. The only way you're going to get it, you got to come out and you got to ball. So I definitely think without a shadow of a doubt is C.J. Stroud because he's got the most on the – it's not just that he has the most to prove. He has the most on the line. Because if he can't get it done this year, you're not getting a second contract. You're not getting a second contract. And they're going to move on and they're going to draft another quarterback. You got to show Houston this year. Do I think he's capable? Absolutely. But he's got to get it done.
He's got to get it done, and it's a tragedy because, again, you moved on from Deshaun Watson. You drafted him with the number 2 overall pick in the draft.
Which was the right move.
It was the right move because, obviously, you needed the quarterback at that particular time, and he had a heck of a rookie season. You know, before Jaden Daniels having the greatest QB rookie season, you could argue CJ. Matter of fact, CJ Stroud, just like Jaden Daniels, was in the conversations for the MVP. And so far, he hasn't come close to that. With Kyler, I think, like I said, no one has much expectations for Minnesota this season. We do expect Kyler, with the plethora of weapons that you have, and with Kevin O'Connell, we do expect you to produce points. Because now, since your departure from Arizona, do we really expect much from Arizona? No, they're probably going to end up having a top 3, top 5 pick in the draft, even though they drafted Jeremiah Love. So, CJ, you have the defense, you have the head coaching, you have the weapons, you have everything put in place. Now it's up to you. What can you remind folks of? The floor is yours, big fella.
What I'm looking up right now is while we were speaking, and hell of a assessment, by the way, for both of you brilliant men. But I think it's important to understand this. Number one, the Minnesota Vikings went 9-8 last year with lackluster quarterback play. They just signed Jawan Jennings. They already have Jordan Addison. You have the best receiver in the league. You have a good offensive line. And your defense was 7th in the league.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Kyler Murray is a number 1 overall pick. The number 1 overall pick. And we've seen these up and down cycles of you being good and great and then mediocre. You will get off to a great start. It's good, great, and then all of a sudden, whoop! With that being said, guess what? You have the most approved this year. Number 1 overall pick. At one point, you were an MVP candidate.
His 3rd year.
At one point, you were an MVP candidate. His 3rd year. Another reason why you got the most approved. Guess what? Cliff Kingsbury, regardless of him getting fired by the Washington Commanders, guess what? He proved what he can do when he has a cooperative quarterback in the form of Jaden Daniels. They had one of the best offenses in the league that year. In his rookie year, got Jaden Daniels and that team to an NFC championship. Damn near made it to the Super Bowl. When I have a cooperative quarterback, my former head coach, when I have a cooperative quarterback, the offense is at its optimal. You're the number 1 overall pick. Your offensive coordinator has proven that he can win with another quarterback when he's more cooperative, when he studies film. Because the thing is, one of the biggest things that was talked about with Jaden Daniels is the fact that he was using virtual reality in order to enhance his film study. That was the biggest thing. 2 coaches have been fired under your watch. They've tried to bring in different receivers, different weapons. Guess what? You haven't even come close. Now, it's no excuse. You have the defense. You have a plethora of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Then I forgot you got a safety net too in the tight end position, T.J. Hockenson, one of the best tight ends in the league.
You just mentioned
You
the
got,
champ,
huh?
BRF and I. We mentioned TJ Hutchinson.
Yeah. You have four very comparable weapons. This situation gives 98 Vikings vibes. It's giving 98 Vikings vibes. You have the best receiver in the league. You have a lot of complementary receivers. Jordan Addison is a great receiver. You have one of the best tight ends in the league. You have a running game, and you have defense. NFC North is blood and guts, but it's very, very winnable. Only thing they needed was a quarterback. As we all know, the Vikings are not very good at drafting them. But when they get somebody else's quarterback who was once good, they turn it all around. You have a chance to join Randall Cunningham, Brad Johnson. Even Jeff George had good seasons when he was at Minnesota. You have a chance to be in conversations with a lot of great Sam Darnold. You have a chance to have a resurrection of your career. And you have a chance to get another bag being on a stable franchise. You were the number one overall pick. You were an MVP candidate. The contract, the study clause. Your offensive coordinator went to an NFC championship without you after he was fired as your head coach. There's a lot going against more Kyler Murray than it is C.J. Stroud. There's a lot more. You're an established quarterback. You got paid the bag. You've proven that you can be an MVP candidate. And for some reason, it just goes up and down and up and down and up and down. We never see any consistency. You have a chance. This is your chance. If there was ever any chance, you will be coming into this league. You will be coming into here. And the thing is, you ain't even got to worry about the bag. Guess what? They still got to pay you from Arizona. So you could be double dipping a little bit in your next contract. You have a chance. C.J. Stroud, yes, he has a chance in order to do a lot of great things. But the thing is, he's in his third year. He's in his fourth year.
Fourth year. He will be entering his fourth year. He was drafted in 2023.
He's in his fourth year. We've seen a lot of rookies, a lot of different players. You have a big year and then fruit. We've seen you have been the model of inconsistency, that being Kyler Murray at the quarterback position. The model of inconsistency. You have been the model of inconsistency. When they put inconsistency in the NFL, they put your picture right next to it in the dictionary. And every stat has proven it. You have the most to prove. You're the veteran quarterback that got every opportunity in the world in order to win MVP. You had the offense in order to put you in position. You squandered it. Now, everybody been saying, well, if we get some talent around them, okay, now's your chance. And then I just went to free agency and got you another weapon. You got weapons galore on this team. You got a hell of a defense, a hell of an offensive-minded head coach, and a hell of a defensive coordinator in the form of Brian Flores. If you can't perform now, then guess what? Might as well just go ahead and start selling donuts, because that's where you're going to end up. So Kyler Murray, you have the most to prove, even over C.J. Stroud.
Okay, champ, I understand your standpoint because of what Minnesota has done as far as BRF and I mentioned, the plethora of weapons that they have around them, and it's giving it 98 vibes. But Dwayne says CJ. And look, I understand you want to go with Kyler, but I've seen enough, champ. After 7, now entering 8 years in the NFL, you are what you are at this point. What's been the knock on Kyler Murray? other than his study habits. Hate to say it, his size. Again, he is a small quarterback. They list Kyler Murray at 5'10", but he's really more like 5'8", 5'9". And again, when he gets hit, especially for someone of his size, by men 290, 300-pound men, it's going to hurt you. And you saw when he got hurt and how Jacoby Brissett took over for the team. I said that Jacoby Brissett should be the starter for the rest of the season, for the remainder of the season, because it seemed to me he was playing better and he was giving the team continuity. When I look at CJ, I think he has the most to prove because unlike Kyler, he doesn't have the bag. He needs the money. And Minnesota, I don't think there's going to be any conversations about them making a deep playoff run. The Texans still have a chance to at least get to the AFC Conference Championship game. And matter of fact, BRF, you can argue that was their best chance. Because think about it. The Kansas City Chiefs were at home. So was the Baltimore Ravens. You fresh off from beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason why it was a blown out game was because of how great the Houston Texans defense was. Then against the New England Patriots, it's not like Drake May was blowing you out the game.
You just played worse than he did.
Right. You played way worse than he was. 4 interceptions in the first half. Again, he became the first player in a single postseason to have 5 interceptions and have 5 fumbles or more in a single postseason game. I even said in that game he looked like Ben Simmons in Game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That's how bad he was throughout that game, and also throughout the entire postseason that year. When I look at C.J. Stroud, he has to remind folks that this is my team. Kyler Murray was drafted with the number 1 overall pick, but I was drafted with the number 2 overall pick. So it's not like I was shabby. And it's not like I wasn't a proven commodity coming out of the Ohio State University. Hopefully we'll have Champ back on. He has to take care of something. We'll have him back momentarily. BRF, do you remember the game in which Champ has often talked about with C.J. Stroud against, by the way, your Georgia Bulldogs?
Yeah, he calls it a heart attack game for a reason, because C.J. Stroud was literally ripping us apart from fourth quarter to fourth quarter. He's the type of quarterback, that is the type of offense, like, as far as, like, you know, being a Georgia Bulldogs fan and following this team and knowing how that defense likes to play, but knowing the weakness of that defense. The Ohio State offense was the perfect counterbalance to what Georgia likes to do on defense, and C.J. Stroud was ripping them apart.
And the reason why I say with C.J. is because there still is a chance. Kyler, even though you can say he's relatively young, he's 28, he's about to be 29 come August, but after 7 years in the NFL, isn't that enough body of work to say this is as far as he can go? And look, I hope for Kyler, because he did talk about how he loves Minnesota. He loves it. He loves being a Vikings fan. He grew up being a Vikings fan. That's great to hear, because again, you're getting to play for your childhood team. Even though you're from the state of Texas, you love Minnesota. You love the purple and gold. You've seen the good old glory days with Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper. Remember, one of the things I love with Dante Culpepper, get your roll on. They also had underrated weapons as well, too. Michael Bennett, Nate Burleson, young Chris Carter back in them days. So one thing Minnesota is known for doing is providing talent, exceptional talent when it comes to the wide receiver position. And Champ, I think C.J. Stroud has more to prove than Kyler Murray is because with Kyler Murray at year 7 going on year 8, I think, unfortunately, I hate to say this, this is as far as he can go. And we've seen the Arizona Cardinals before and during Kyler Murray, they've surrounded him with talent. Think about it. They got DeAndre Hopkins. They didn't even have to give up a first-round pick just for in order to get DeAndre Hopkins. Think about that. They gave up a second and a fourth-round pick and David Johnson
The
just
corpse
for
of David Johnson.
the DeAndre
corpse of
Hopkins.
the corpse of David Johnson.
Think about that for a second. They did get him DeAndre Hopkins. They did get you Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, he hasn't panned out to be the wide receivers like Emeka Egbuka, Jackson Smith-Njigba, or the other wide receivers, which is shocking to me, but that's a story for another day, considering how he was coming out of Ohio State. Arizona has done your part to provide you with talent, and especially during your third season. Remember, during that time, they even brought in Zach Ertz.
Yep. Who led the league in receptions.
And, Champ, the reason why C.J. Stroud needs to remind folks, again, do you remember that game against your Georgia Bulldogs, the heart attack game, as you've often called it?
Yeah, I remember that game. Yeah. It was crazy, but like I said, I believe that C.J. Stroud, like I stated, C.J. Stroud has a lot to prove in this league because two consecutive years you've cost your team the playoffs when you had a more comparable defense. But the thing is, I'm judging this by the totality of the teams in general. If I look at it, does the Texans have the better defense? Absolutely. But the total overall team, you had no quarterback play. You was able to eke out 9 wins. You were still able to eke out 9 wins. You're able to add talent. You still have a top 7 defense.
I understand that, Champ. But last year, when C.J. Stroud was down, the Houston Texans were still able to manage to win games with Davis Mills. Early on, they weren't looking like a playoff team. And they were able to win that many games. And the fact that C.J. Stroud was playing so bad, didn't you think at some point in that game, okay, bench C.J., we've seen enough. You were that bad against the Steelers. You were that bad against the Patriots. Let's throw in Davis Mills. Davis Mills just play complimentary football. Just play smart football, play conservative football, take chances when you need to. More importantly, do not turn over the ball. It's not like Champ Drake May outgunned him. As BRF and I mentioned, you were far worse, way worse than what Drake May was. And if you actually look at it, the Patriots, even though they got to the playoffs, or got to the Super Bowl, Champ, I do think luck did kind of play a role. Because imagine had C.J. Stroud had played exponentially better or even adequate in order for the Texans to get to the AFC Championship game. The Denver Broncos. Shocking to me that Bo Nix, right after the AFC Championship game, when Adam Schefter sent the report that broken ankle, he's out for the AFC Championship game. I actually thought it was a joke or a rib. But nope, he didn't play. And I've said it before, imagine if Bo Nix had played in that game. Denver would probably be coming out of the AFC. Again, that's just my opinion. But when I look at C.J. Stroud, Champ, you are competing for a contract. Kyler already has his bag. Like you mentioned, Arizona is still going to pay off the rest of his contract. Meanwhile, with C.J. Stroud, what happens, God forbid, if C.J. Stroud doesn't play well and gets yanked, and if Davis Mills comes in and starts playing adequate football like he did last year? You can argue, Champ, imagine what would happen if Kyler starts stinking up the joint and J.J. McCarthy would come on in. I just think, Champ, with C.J. Stroud, he still has more to prove than Kyler because he's younger. At this point with Kyler, Champ, it's been 7 years, entering year 8. I think, and I hate to say it because I'm an OU guy, I think this is as far as Kyler Murray can go. He's a tremendous talent. But when I have questions about your work ethic in terms of your film room and the injury issues and the fact, yes, you're surrounded with offense, but what's going to happen? In order for Kyler to be successful, the offense has to be tailor-made to him. So is that something for those wide receivers to adjust? That's something you gotta ask. We gotta ask that question. But with CJ, you cannot argue that the Houston Texans have done their part. You've often said quarterback cannot throw on his back. Have they done their part, giving him a decent old line so far?
No. Then they traded Lamby Thompson, which was a whole nother ball game. So, yeah, I agree with all the points that you made, but
I agree with yours too.
but the thing is, when you're a veteran and you've been an MVP candidate, a legitimate MVP candidate, and it's the same cycle, up and down, up and down, up and down.
But
and we
isn't
know
that
what you're
but
capable, and we know what you're capable of when you're at your best. I ask questions about what you're doing during the second half of the season that's hindering you.
but champ, you called Kyler Murray inconsistent. Isn't that consistent? Because we've seen it before. He starts off high, he cools off. You've seen that each and every single year. Isn't that not consistency? Is that not part of who he is?
That's a valid point as well. Valid point as well. But yeah, like I said, I compare it to seeing a worker that's been at a job for years and you've been inconsistent. Now it's time to come down. Who who should be fired? Who shouldn't? Would I be willing to give the young guy a chance and give him more of the benefit of the doubt? Yes. I would not be able to do that for a veteran who worked there for years. Because, like, bro, you know better by now. You know better. So that's just the thing. CJ Stroud is still young. Granted, he has the defense. Granted, he has a lot of things that has went in his favor. But the thing was, you can't deny he's battled injuries, offensive line troubles, and injuries at the wide receiver position. For Kyler, it's the same thing over and over. You are the common denominator of coaches getting fired. And the thing is, we haven't seen Maserati Marv come into his own, partly because guess what? You haven't been able to get in the ball. And guess what? You haven't been handling yourself in the press that well because you're saying, well, it's not my job to force in the ball. Guess what? A lot of quarterbacks do that for their number one receiver.
Well,
And
obviously they drafted him with the 4th overall pick.
exactly.
And remember, and I hate bringing this up with Kyler, but look, the reason why Kyler blocked me was because, again, he took it the wrong way because I questioned his work ethic. He talked about, you don't know what I do as far as preparation. Kyler, again, if that's the case, why would the Cardinals put that clause in your contract as far as studying and watching film? Furthermore, you even admitted you don't spend a lot of time watching film.
Yeah.
But with CJ, I think he's under the most approved because, again, the money. The money. The money is a huge issue for me because, again, he's trying to compete. He's trying to fight for a contract. And the status. We're not even sure if he's the best quarterback in his draft class or even in the division. So we got to wait and see what's going to happen with Kyler Murray and CJ Stroud. But guys, let's move on. BRF, by any chance, did you check out the roast of Kevin Hart?
I've seen clips and I've seen highlights of it. So I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Did you check out the joke in particularly to which a lot of people were talking about social media? Tony Hinchcliffe, the joke he made.
The George Floyd one.
Yes.
Yeah, I have definitely made the rounds, and I've definitely seen like what people are talking about. I kind of see where people are like, well, you know, it is comedy. At the end, it's comedy. You know, you like that. You do have to have like thick skin to a certain degree as far as like comedy is concerned, because because that's how it used to be like back in the day, like when world events happen, when stuff like when events happen, like most of the stuff was like it was fair game to the comedians, because their job is to bring light to what sometimes could be all like a darker situation. It's their job to do that. um I think a lot of the but I think a lot of the stuff as far as jokes, what they were using was pretty low hanging fruit. Like a lot of it was like, I feel like a lot of it was lazy comedy, because it's like you can go to certain things for like shock factor, and like get the oohs and the ahs, and then maybe followed up with the laughs. I just think a lot of it was kind of lazy. They knew what to say, they knew what to say, what would get the reactions afterward next day. They knew what would get the views, they knew what would get the clicks, they knew what would bring the clout. Like, Tony Hinchcliffe using that George Floyd line, we knew that was going to get clicks and and views and stuff like that. I'll say this though, a line that not a lot of people are talking about is that Pete Davidson one on CK.
The one on Charlie Kirk.
The one on CK, yeah, the one on Charlie Kirk. Not a lot of people are talking about that line, and this is where it's like,
Double standard.
yes, because people are, especially that particular side of the spectrum, it's like they pick and choose what they think is funny and what they think is offensive. Like, they don't want you, like, it's like people don't want you to be offended about the people remember, they don't want you to be offended as far as like the George Floyd joke, but the Charlie Kirk joke, over 600 people lost their jobs because of the Charlie Kirk situation, and voicing their frustrations, voicing their opinions as far as like Charlie Kirk is concerned. And I think that's what one thing people got to understand is like, a lot of reason why people didn't necessarily shed a tear for him was because of the things he said, and particularly about black people. And that's one thing people really need to understand, why a lot of black people weren't necessarily like, they don't wish death on nobody, but you have to understand why black people didn't shed a tear when he died. People have to understand that, because he didn't. Because when you listen to him, it's like we were on the lower end of the spectrum. Like, we were brought in just to make a quota. Like, we weren't hired at all. Because we were best for the job. We were just hired just to make a quota. And I think a lot of times people forget that if a lot of hiring processes go back to the old ways, you act like there's no meritocracy now. If things go back to a lot of the olden ways and what it was back during like Jim Crow and all that other stuff, you want to say there's no meritocracy now? Lord help us if it goes backwards like that then. Because I promise you, we won't get opportunities like that. They want to talk about meritocracy now. Oh boy, it would be a whole nother ball game if they can just find a way to reverse and just go backwards, which is what I feel like this country is starting to do, or in the process of doing. And I feel like we just got to, like, the people got to stand up and like fight that. But going back to this real quick, I just think a lot of it was just lazy comedy. And I mean, yeah, it's a roast, and I mean, you're kind of tasked to really like hit the roast, hit the target of the roast. Your job coming in is to really like hit them, like really hit them with like the vicious, the hardest possible stuff. I mean, it's a roast. But I just think a lot of it was just like lazy comedy and not a lot of thought. Just oh, we know this is gonna get the oohs and the ahs. So I just like, it was okay. What a lot of the clips I seen, it was all right. There were some decent lines, but I mean, for the most part, I just think a lot of the comedy was just, they knew what would get the reaction. I think it was I personally think it was a lot of laziness.
Look, Champ. First of all, Champ, you good? You all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. The conversation BRF and I are discussing is the roast on Kevin Hart. Obviously there was some controversy during the roast, particularly Tony Hinchcliffe, the joke he made about George Floyd. Then we also discussed Pete Davidson, the joke with Charlie Kirk. My other problem, and I love The Rock. My problem was when he used the R word regarding Draymond Green. Look, you know, I look, I get it's comedy, but at the same time, for as someone who is sensitive with autism, someone with a learning disability, I do have a problem with someone using that term. Like, I mean, if he would have said dumbass or something like that, okay, fine, I would understand that. But that word to me is like a trigger word, the R word. But other than that, I didn't have a problem with The Rock. But the family of George Floyd seriously had a problem with what Tony Hinchcliffe had to say, particularly D.L. Hughley. Stephen Jackson, a friend of George Floyd, spoke about it. And look, to your point, BRF, you mentioned about Pete Davidson with the joke about Charlie Kirk. I just think it went too far. Look, I understand it's comedy, it's roasting, it's all about jokes and stuff, but when you're talking about someone who passed away, and especially how they died, there's certainly no laughing matter about that. Um, could it be lazy comedy? Yes, I think so. It went too far. Only good things I did like was the Cat Williams, him and Kevin Hart reconciling. But I had a serious issue with it. I had a serious issue with the George Floyd joke, and especially with the Charlie Kirk joke. Charlie Kirk joke. Look, I'm no fan of Charlie Kirk, the human being. Certainly not a fan of his politics or anything like that. That being said, I'm not going to say anything bad or negative about a person who passed away. I'm just going to let them rest in peace. As Big Fella always says, they've had their day in judgment, and sooner or later, we're going to have our day in judgment. So, what's your thoughts on the whole roast, Big Fella?
I think we've hit the negative part a little bit, but I'm more happy to see Kevin Hart and Cat Williams squash their beef, man. That was a beef that went on for years, and I'm glad that they finally acknowledged that they were fans of each other and that Kevin Hart acknowledged that he was a fan. It's been a beef back and forth for years, man. One of Shannon Sharp's, as we know, greatest interviews
His
was
greatest interview.
Cat
was
Williams.
was with Cat Williams. It was more like a tell-all book than
He
anything
didn't
else.
lie. He had all them the receipts
He
and
had the
You
stuff.
receipts,
you
and
having a
one of the
natural
main
you having
subjects of that
you
was Kevin Hart, and
you
so
having a natural allegiance to losers. That's not like you.
exactly. But for them to finally squash the beef and put aside their differences, and for him to roast them one last time and say, "Hey, man, let's put the beef beside him, put the beef out, put the beef just behind us." That was amazing to see, man. Because you want to see guys make money together. Especially considering a lot of circumstances. We're not going to go into the circumstances I'm talking about, but considering a lot of circumstances, you want to see guys make money together. I would love to see a Kings of Comedy tour headlining those guys. Will I see it? No. But you want to see this next generation of Kings of Comedy that is going to just be. You want to see guys make money together. You want to see guys do certain things together, regardless of how they may feel about each other. So to see that, I think that overshadows any other of the negative aspects that may have been on that show. When your enemies, I don't think people realize the strength that it takes to forgive somebody when they talk bad about you, when you beefing with each other, when it's very very public. Because it's one thing when you don't like each other, but when you discredit the hell out of each other for so long, it takes a toll, and it takes a lot of strength for you to do something like that. So that is the part that I will focus on. The fact that they squashed the beef, two of my favorite comedians. Big shout out to our great friend Hot Take Kenny, who said that Cat Williams is one of the greatest comedians of all time.
No, he
Now,
didn't
although
say
he
one of the
squashed,
greatest. He said he's the greatest comedian of all time.
that's another story for another day. But he did state that he was the greatest comedian. He is one of the greatest, in my humble opinion. But for you to squash the beef and roast him like that, that was a whole nother level. Now, let's get to the negative part. Guys, stop being lazy with the damn jokes. Enough is enough. Enough. Don't be talking about Mr. Floyd or Mr. Kurt. They're gone. Stop being lazy. I understand the shock factor is going to be there and stuff like that, but come up with some more material. Come on. Be original. Be original. The shock factor is good, but come up with something else. Try something else. And I don't agree with anything that was said. Both of those men, regardless of political reference, was unalived right before our very eyes. I saw both of those men unalived right before my very eyes in a very violent and inhumane manner. It makes me cringe to think about that. The way that Mr. Floyd and Mr. Kurt were unalived in front of my eyes. It makes me cringe when I think about it. And I don't think that anybody should have to be reminded of that. That is flagrant. That it is dumb and lazy. And for people who are going to say it's just a roast, look, the men are dead. Don't disrespect their family. Don't disrespect their legacy like that. No matter what political side you on, nobody deserves their legacy to be disrespected. Let them rest. Don't speak on them. Like I stated, I don't agree with a lot of things that Mr. Kirk said. I don't agree with a lot of things that's politics, but I'm not going to sit here and disrespect them and say anything negative because I didn't like it. That's not my job. And it's not my job to make jokes about it. It's not my job to make jokes about Mr. Floyd. Leave that shit away from there. Like I stated, this is the first time in history where my generation and everybody else have had somebody, these are two figures that were unalive right before our very eyes. It's traumatizing. So we got to get away from the lazy jokes. Everybody gonna say it's a roast, it's a joke, but guess what, man? Behind every, I always say this, and this is why I always say, if your friends don't roast you, they don't love you. Because behind every LOL, there's a little bit of truth to it. You might say, you might text one of your homegirls at night saying, you know I like you, right? LOL. There's a little bit of truth behind that. Girl might text you and say, you know I like you, right? Although y'all been cool for years. LOL. There's a little bit of truth behind that. So behind every LOL, behind every comedic joke, there is a truth to it. So to disrespect Mr. Kirk and Mr. Floyd like that, and I'm going to address them both respectfully. I don't care what anybody says in the studio audience, we're going to address them respectfully. So they will be addressed by Undisputed as Mr. Kirk and Mr. Floyd, because that's what they were. And we will show respect to both of those gentlemen, regardless of political views. But stop being lazy with the jokes, stop being lazy with that. And to PSP's point, think of another damn word to use. I didn't realize how hurtful that word was till I started hanging out with PSP. Then I understood. I didn't realize how hurtful certain words were till I started hanging out with PSP, BRF. And when you have friends like that, you start cleaning up your language a hell of a lot more.
Actually, champ, when I look at The Rock, I was disappointed that he used that term. Like I said, I wish he could have used a different term like dumbass or jackass or something like that. Yeah, that is a word regarding the R word. That is a trigger word for me, and that is something I don't handle very well. I tell my mom, I tell my family members, my friends, look, I don't care if y'all say that to each other, but around me, I feel very uncomfortable with the R word, and you know, champ, very well the N word.
Yes.
But where I disagree with you, champ, you said that the Cat Williams Kevin Hart thing overshadowed it. Unfortunately, I don't think so because we constantly talking about it. I mean, D.L. Hughley chimed in about Tony Hinchcliffe regarding the joke. This is what Tony D.L. Hughley said on his podcast, I think, regarding Tony Hinchcliffe. He said, quote, I find it ironic that a comedian who appeared at a Nazi rally for Trump a couple of years ago and told a very incendiary joke would end up with the N-word that was in Jumanji. I just don't find these audiences mesh. He added, I remembered years ago it was the Dean Martin roast. You got the sense that those people like each other, that those people have an affinity for each other, that it was kind of tongue-in-cheek. I don't get that sense at all. Look, that moment when he made the George Floyd joke and Charlie Kirk joke, unfortunately, champ, that overshadowed it. As you always say, 1,000 attaboys are always eclipsed by all one shit. And I just felt like it crossed the line. Look, regardless how you feel about George Floyd or Charlie Kirk, and again, I'm no fan of Charlie Kirk. If someone dies, I let them rest in peace. As you always say, champ, they've had their day in judgment. We have to keep the same energy. Look, Hulk Hogan, when he passed away last year, knowing what type of a human being Hulk Hogan was, still in all, hey, we're not gonna shame someone, as you said, champ. He's gonna have his day in judgment. Let it go from there. Overall, overall, outside of the George Floyd, Charlie Kirk jokes, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. I was happy seeing the roast. But that's about it. But I just think we just got to be more mindful, more careful what you say,
Yeah.
and don't tell someone how they're supposed to feel. You don't get to determine that. It's only those who are offended that get to determine that. Like if I say something that is considered anti-Semitic or whatever, I don't get to determine that because I'm not a Jewish person. I don't have that right. If I say something derogatory about the Asian community, I don't get to determine that. That's not my right. So all I ask is for that same favor. I just think people need to be more mindful, and they've had time. Comedians, one thing about comedians, they take their time to come up with jokes. And I feel like as comedians, that's the best y'all can come up with. That, of all the jokes you could have thought of, you brought up George Floyd and you brought up Charlie Kirk. What did that hope to accomplish? What should have been a great night, and I get it. Comedians, great thing about comedians, what they do, talk about real life situations and make them funny. However, certain situations like this, you're just putting your hand into the fire. And you're just asking for a world of trouble. So that's really about it. That's all I got to say regarding that. But fellas, let's move on. Baby face or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means in wrestling language, babyface means a good guy, heel is a bad guy, a tweener is someone in between. Diana Rossini. I'll go first. I'm sorry, but at this point in time, I say heel. Heel applies. And look, champ, we discussed this multiple times on the pod. You felt like the media should keep the same energy with Mike Vrabel. But even though I agreed that Mike Vrabel does deserve much more criticism, but when it comes to Diana Rossini, eh. Diana Rossini is a journalist. Not just any journalist, a female journalist. At all times, a journalist is supposed to have integrity and credibility. And when those two are out the door or window, in the words of Vince McMahon, you have no chance in hell to have another opportunity as a journalist again. The other thing I have, and again, you are also a woman journalist. And you know how female journalists are viewed differently compared to their male counterparts. And unfortunately, because of all of that, you gave credence. You did. You did give credence to how female journalists are viewed and perceived differently compared to women journalists. I'm trying to find the exact tweet from Chrissy Ford. That was the tweet that led her out of USA Today Sports. This is the tweet in which she said when Diana Rossini, the resignation of The Athletic, I'm sure you were told to submit this or that you get fired instead. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. We know who you really are and what you've been up to for years. It does so much detriment to women in sports who have done things the right way. And USA Today, the spokesperson, Lark Marie Anton, USA Today Sports, they released a statement. USA Today Sports has ended its contractor relationship with Chrissy Floyd effective immediately. Her recent statements do not reflect our commitment to professionalism or uphold our principles of ethical conduct. This was after when Chrissy Floyd made the statement about Diana Rossini. But was Chrissy Floyd wrong as far as saying it? No, she spoke as what any journalist and any female journalist would say about the Diana Rossini situation. It's not also the fact that it's bad enough that you cheated, but in all seriousness, champ, and it's not funny to me, I had a serious problem with how Diana Rossini embarrassed her husband by calling him average.
Oh, that was the worst.
It's kind of reminiscent to how Jada Smith was emasculating Will Smith on the Red Table Talk. Sorry, but that's a fair analogy. Because Jada Pinkett Smith publicly humiliated her family, especially her husband, by revealing about the entanglement, talking about how Will Smith is and everything else. And I'll say it and I'll say it again. I don't care if some women get offended. You cannot convince me or tell me otherwise. Jada Pinkett Smith was jealous of Will Smith. That's a story for another day. But back to Diana Rossini. You cheated. It's bad enough that you cheat. And if you're going to cheat, keep that on the down low. As you always say, champ, don't shit where you eat. This is where you make your bread. So you cheated. It's out there for the world to see. You publicly humiliated your husband, your family. You hurt the integrity of journalism and female reporters. You didn't just hurt yourself. You hurt everyone. Now, do I hope for Diana Rossini she can have a second career? Yes. In order for her to do that, as far as her journalist career is over. Nobody gonna touch her. But if she wants to have any involvement in media whatsoever, she has to transition into podcasting. Look at Emmanuel Acho. Look at Joy Taylor. Look at Don Lemon. Hell, look at Tucker Carlson. Hell, look at Jason Whitlock. Hell, look at Marcellus Wiley. Look at all these people who have lost or have quit their jobs. And what are they doing to earn a living? Podcasting. What difference would it make if Diana Rossini would be doing podcasts? I hope that this is a lesson in all seriousness for journalists and female journalists. I hope at some point, at a later moment in time, Diana Rossini should have forgiveness and redemption. But at this moment in time, I have no other choice but to label her a heel. The floor is yours.
Hell, you said that just as intelligently as anybody ever could.
That's why you
That
call
whole
me the New Jersey genius.
That whole relationship was a damn humiliation ritual, if you ask me. 'Cause damn. It wasn't just saying her husband was average. Remember when she said, you know, get the divorce and everything?
No, I knocked my camera over.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I knocked it over.
Sorry. I'm not going to say, never mind. But,
Go ahead. Just say it. Just,
Yeah, you might well let it out.
But anyway, stop. Don't do that. But but that whole situation was a damn humiliation ritual. Calling him average, saying I've done things in Miami that I never tell my husband about. Bro, that shit is crazy. And now you out here kissing her. Damn, cuz. You talk about being down bad. Damn. Damn, son. You talk about being down bad, bro. What's so funny about this dude? This dude is the vice president for Shake Shack. This dude is raking in millions. He probably making more than her. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I got rid of that so goddamn fast. Man, please. Bro, you out here kissing on her and slobbing her down. You are looking like a goofy at this point, cuz. You are looking goofy. I understand you love somebody, you don't want to let them go, bro, but damn. This been out there in the open. This is, man, y'all remember this is equivalent to the whole, now, this is the whole equivalent to, remember how Larsa Pippen was out there with Scottie Pippen either after she got caught up in the future situation? Y'all remember that? And then there was
the fact that she was with Michael Jordan's son.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan didn't even want to with him, but that's on that level, dude. It's like, damn, you, bro, that's nasty work, bro. I'm dating average guy. I'm like, damn. I think, man, the internet is something else, bro. That's a hip hop song going wrong right there, bro. She's a heel, man. I mean, like I said, you can't say anything else, man. It's one thing to be cheating is already tough enough to go through anyway, man. Everybody has been there, man. You know, hell, there's songs about it, man. Even, you know, if it isn't love, she got me. And I show you the reason I saw her with another guy. That bothers you as a dude anyway, bro. But to be embarrassed like that, bro, I'd have packed your ass up a long time ago, bro. The minute you can't, I'm dating an average guy. I post them all the time. Yeah, that's the divorce right there, cuz. Now you out here, now you back together, you slobbing her down and everything, ain't you? Oh boy, you is. That ain't what's hot on the streets right now. I couldn't do it, bro. It's like, it's one thing to be cheated on, but embarrassed. A lot of relationships don't end because of cheating. A lot of them end because of the public embarrassment. And when you have public embarrassment on top of the damn cheating, it's like, damn, that's a double. It wasn't enough that you just went out there and you just out here just decide to go out here and just get tagged on. You had to embarrass me in the process? Motherfucker, you better clean your lips with Clorox after that shit. Because ain't no damn way.
Damn.
That's what we're really going down to.
You need to see your goddamn list of Clorox after kissing her ass.
Ooh.
You ain't no way you could be that down bad.
Ooh.
Bro, you the vice president of Shake Shack. Man, please get rid of her ass. Pack her up, bro.
Well, that's what we've been trying to tell Will Smith to do with Jada. You, Will Smith, you're worth 350, $375 million, maybe even more. You
That was even
probably
worse
what?
than Will Smith, though. If you really want me to be honest with you, the thing is, you can't sit around here talking about. I'm an executive of a major
Oh, okay.
commodity, and you
I
call me
understand.
average, and you look like
So
that damn, and you look like that damn witch off of damn Hocus Pocus. You better sit your ass down somewhere. Sit your-
yeah, but same thing applies with Jada Chip. Jada back in the '90s was fine, but nowadays when you look at Jada and you're like, huh, Jada, for you to be talking like that about Will?
Yeah, she look like she could be Mr. Big's assistant or something like that.
Oh Lord,
Just seeing real, man. People get they. I don't know what's up with people these days. They want to feel way more important than what they are. You are a reporter, nothing more. You are an actor, nothing more. People want to feel more important than what they really are. And you calling people average. You call it. I dated an average guy. Woman, you on your best day, you a Steph. You not even you a Steve Kerr 3, not even a Steph Curry 3. So what the fuck are we talking about here?
it just seems to me, Champ, people don't realize how good they got it until it's gone. And sadly, that's what you're seeing right now. I mean, why would you reveal to the world how average your husband is? Like, what do you gain from it? You married to him,
I mean, shit, you
so what does
average.
that say?
What the hell we talk about? Like
But
you,
that's my point,
you're
Champ. If
average.
by her saying that he's average, what does that say about? Hold up, what does that say about you and your judgment, your choice with men?
You settle because you. I mean, you settle for average, and you sitting around here. I'm better than average guy. I mean, hell, you, bro. A lot of people feelings get spared nowadays because of political correctness. Because had they been back in the '90s, the early 2000s, ooh, bro, I thank God that I started hanging out with friends like PSP, like BRF. Because I ain't gonna lie, man, I have said some real nasty stuff to people, especially when they did something dirty to somebody. You out here embarrassing people like you damn Jennifer Lopez or somebody. Like, again, you are not that. You gotta at least be attractive to call somebody average. I'm just being real. You should be having somebody who want to touch your ugly ass. I'm just gonna be real. So I'm just like, it's one thing to be cheated on, but to be humiliated, like, come on, man. She's a heel, not just because of that. You mess it up because, like you said, you mess it up because of the the women that has to now be questioned about what they're doing in order to get big stores. Now they have to be questioned because of you. You set a lot of women back years. Women who have worked hard for their names, women who have worked hard for their reputation. You just set them back years, all because number one, you don't know how to keep your mouth closed, and number two, you don't know how to go about navigating relationships and navigating certain things. So now the next guy who, imagine this. Imagine if there's a case that's opened against a reporter. Imagine if a woman reporter opens a case up against an NFL coach or against, a player, and she's a journalist. People are going to look at this Diana Rossini situation, and they're going to ask the question: well, were you sleeping with them prior to this allegation, prior to this harassment? Are you just out for it? That's questions that are going to be asked. The path you take is not your own. You have to be honest. And I know it's a sore subject, but can you imagine if, and that's a big if, I hope it never happens, if something like that is to happen in the future? Because of you, that whole thing is going to be in question because of how you conducted yourself as a woman in the media. Because they're going to ask, was this a consensual situation that just got out of control because you're not getting your way? You're not able to get scoops anymore. You're not able to do this anymore. So the past few days,
Doesn't that kind of tell you why Taylor Brooks has decided to stay away from Joy Taylor?
I was avoiding that, but since you brought it up, just being real. But it's you being a heel is an understatement. You're embarrassing your family. Now your kids got to look at school, and little kids are cruel, bro. I'm gonna just be real, cause I was a cruel kid. Because I found out your mom or something like that. That's gonna get talked about at the lunch table. I'm sorry.
Not
That's
just
gonna
a
get
lunch
talked
table,
about at the lunch.
recess, after school.
Yeah, and then look, I was one of those kids, man. Look, I had a foul mouth growing up. And down south, we roast and we gonna talk about everything from your mama to your grandmama. We gonna talk about your uncle. Down south, we joke like that. And if you want to fight after the fact, then we'll beat you outside after the fact. But down south, we dig deep down south. They call it playing the dozens down south for a reason. They will hit you hard down here. They will rank on you, as we used to say. So not only are you putting women in jeopardy, you putting women's reputation on the line, you put your kids in jeopardy, opening them up for jokes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine somebody bringing your son a Patriots jersey to school for Secret Santa this year?
And you talking about how Diana Rossini wasn't attractive, how she wasn't J Lo. Hell, Uncle Ruckus wouldn't even look at her, and we see how his eyes are.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say, man. It's just like the embarrassment of it all. Like I said, it was just like one huge humiliation. And it's just like, damn. And it all goes back. And then now, it's, I don't know. That's
But
something
you
hard to
see,
go
but you seen a lot of women nowadays starting to lose credibility. Champ, hell, you even saw Stefan Diggs, chef, ex chef dancing. Remember that video of her dancing in that courtroom with the
What's so
video?
funny about that whole Stephon Diggs situation? The judge was ice grilling her dumb ass.
Yes.
The judge was ice grilling. When the judge is ice grilling you and you are the plaintiff in the case, it's time, man. It's time to get back to law and order and morality. Not all this doing anything for clout, man. Clout can cost you your life, man. It can cost you your reputation. It can cost you your name. Clout is a dangerous drug, and more we're seeing people put their name on the line for clout. And it's getting ridiculous at this point. And the minute we start placing an emphasis back on respect instead of clout, that's when I believe the world will be a better place. But as far as Diana Rossini is concerned, uh, she's the heel.
BRF, I think it's pretty fair to say you're gonna say heel.
I mean, there's really not more to add. But honestly, I'll say this though: the whole she lost me at the whole saying that she was married to an average guy, and then the whole thing about I've done things in Miami I wouldn't dare tell my husband, and like she's healed off of those two statements alone. But it's like the fact that like you the fact that you did it with a coach and like one of the preeminent coaches in the league, and just I don't know, it's like you're not apologetic for it, and you're not showing remorse and none of that. So it's not just the fact that you called him average. I think you're kind of proving a point to people that you don't want him in the first place. So it's like, yeah, board is unanimous. Your Honor, she is like, she is like Edge 2005 Matt Hardy Heat. Like
That's a
Ugh.
good analogy. That
like
is a
like
hell of an analogy.
not it ain't and like it's not the go away kind. It's the type that you organically, literally cultivated and built and developed on your own on your own being. That's because that is exactly what she's done in a matter of like weeks. So yeah, like I mean like 2005 Edge Matt Hardy Heat. Like just heal. Like heal.
All right, next one. One of my favorite players though. Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins.
Heal. All of that being over. Great player, but too overly damn emotional, bro. I believe his career could have lasted longer in the NBA had his attitude been a lot better. I believe his career. I believe people would have. It's a lot easier to deal with you when you're not a prick. And I believe his career ended early, not just because of his injuries and things of that nature. I believe it ended because of his attitude as well. Not to mention, I think he was in Puerto Rico. He getting into fights with fans, grabbing his private parts in front of the fans and acting a fool and doing all that type of nonsense. At one point, this guy was one of the best bigs in the league, and not only could he play the inside game and had a hell of a post game, he could play defense. He was a rim protector, and he could shoot threes. This dude was a hybrid. Immaturity at its best. It's just that just goes to show you, man. Talent can take you to the top, but attitude and character keep you there. And I just think that Boogie was just a victim of his own undoing. Like I said, I think that people would have been more anxious to put up with him had he not been such a prick. But unfortunately for him, he had he had a Draymond Green type attitude, but a lot more mature, a lot more immature, without the contributions in order for it to take effect and for it to lead to winning. Say what you want about Draymond, but his tactics, okay, although flagrant and brutal at times, it at least led to him winning. And you can at least justify a lot of the things there. Well, at least he was able to bring a winning culture. With Boogie, that was just that was just a microcosm of everything that he did when he was over there arguing and fighting with fans over there in Puerto Rico. That was just a microcosm of his career. Immaturity, eclipsing his talent all the time. And that's how come he never got to reach his full potential like I think he should.
BRF.
Oh man. Boogie Cousins. I got him as a. I'll give him tweener. I don't. I'll give him a tweener just because like I think Pete Boogie Cousins was definitely like in. He was definitely in the best center conversations in the NBA like at his peak. Like he was like even though he was with like a team like the Sacramento Kings who were really not that really weren't that good at the time he was there. I mean, you could just yeah, like Champ explained it like he talked about it like really eloquently and really well. Like not only his ability to like to dominate and command his post presence, like his footwork and being able to kind of dominate because he was a big boy, so he was able to kind of leverage that in his weight and being able to get basically get whatever he wanted in the post, but then his ability to shoot the mid range, shoot the three, and then like defense, blocking, just and underrated playmaker as well. Like he was a good big as far as like getting assists for his teammates. Like yeah, so I'll give him a tweener just because like like some of the stuff because it's like that with a lot of athletes. Like they get on the mic, they get in front of the camera, and they'll say some things. They try to sell you on it. But at the end of the day, when you think about how crazy it might sound, you realize, oh, that's just their opinion. It's their opinion. They might not share the same thing with everybody else. It's their opinion, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't have to agree with everything that a player says on the podcast. But yeah, for me, yeah, but he's a tweener because I respected him on the court, and like yeah, he definitely had like the like attitude problems and all that. But I'm gonna give Boogie a tweener.
I'm with BRF on this one, tweener. Look, champ, I understand DeMarcus Cousins. To your point, healed because obviously he didn't have the greatest attitude in the world during his NBA career, or even in college. He had some attitude immaturity issues coming out of Kentucky when he was coached by John Calipari. But when I look at DeMarcus Cousins, I say tweener because before injuries, he was a damn good basketball player. He could handle the ball,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, stretch the floor, hit perimeter shots, hit mid-range shots. He can even post up after all because at his prime, he was about 6'11", 270-ish. He had nice touch. He could pass the ball. He can do a lot of things offensively. Where I disagree with you of the defensive. Boogie wasn't really that known for defense. And remember, another what if, him and AD. A short period of
Yeah.
time they were in New Orleans. They were talking about front courts. AD, here's a guy who can give you 24 and 11 with 3.5 blocks, who can give you mid-range shooting, who can give you defense. Meanwhile, you get a guy like Boogie who can give you 26 and 11, who can stretch the floor and hit threes. Obviously, a better three-point shooter than Anthony Davis. I mean, New Orleans had something to look forward to with those two. But then, unfortunately, Boogie with the Achilles. And he wasn't the same after that. And then he tried to go to Puerto Rico. And then, of course, champ, as you mentioned, the moment when he was grabbing his you-know-what and then throwing the fit. But I say tweener with DeMarcus Cousins. Because before injuries, he was a damn good basketball player. And it's going to be a what if. What if had Boogie Cousins had stayed healthy? Because he was really damn good during his time in Sacramento. Now, Sacramento, the only good thing that they did try to bring in Shaquille O'Neal to be like a mentor and to help DeMarcus Cousins. But when I look at Boogie, very skilled offensive player, could run up the floor in transition. He could shoot. He could score from a multitude of ways. Him and Cat are like the best big men that Calipari has had, along with Marcus Camby. So I lean towards tweener. This one, we get a lot of flack for bringing his name up. Bill Clinton.
You dirty money! You dirty
I did not have
I did
sexual
not.
relations with that woman.
Woman.
You know what, man? I don't look. This shit was crazy. Slick Willie. Oh man.
If there in my I, if there was ever a I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you can get more tweener than Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't think you
I'm not
can
even
either,
joking.
man.
I don't think you can get any more tweener than Bill Clinton. Like, just from the standpoint of how good he was as a president. He's one of the greatest presidents of our lifetime. Like, everything that he was able to accomplish and contribute as far as like what he brought to the country, he was a really really good president. One of the better presidents he had. But god damn you, Monica Lewinsky. Like, like we just
the thousands.
and it wasn't just yeah, like it wasn't just that. Like,
Let's
it
not
was
forget the
that
DX impersonation.
the yes, oh my god, yeah,
Man.
just so many things that you want to wrap into one little ball and just get it out there, but it's just so much that you really don't know if you have time to put everything in just one thing. So Yeah, I don't think you can really get any more tweener than Bill Clinton because it's just how good he was as a president. But boy, you liked yourself some women in your day, and even with the fact that you were married, you be just man, Bill, Bill, just Bill. I ain't
He
got
wasn't
nothing.
Bill
I
Nye
ain't
the
got nothing.
Science Guy. He was Bill.
Nah,
He was Bill
shooting.
paying
I
the
know.
bills.
But I guess when you think about it from the women perspective, he was just as catchy as Bill Nye the Science Guy. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, we gonna leave it at that.
Probably
Bill
during his
Clinton
days, he was probably playing juveniles. Back that ass up.
with the saxophone nonetheless. I'm just saying. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't
I
think you can get any
never.
more tweener than Bill Clinton, bro. You can't. You can't.
What's so funny about Bill is this. Before Bill, I've never seen a president that was more cultural icon. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about that was embedded in entertainment. I'm not talking about black culture. I'm talking about that was embedded in entertainment. He was all over the damn entertainment. They would have eaten him up these days if he was president. This
Oh,
dude was on the
he would
Arsenio
have
Hall.
smiled about it though. He would
Yeah,
have smiled about it though.
he was on the Arsenio Hall show, which was huge back then, playing the saxophone. Talked about, doing the
Hmm.
Mary Jane, you know, hitting the boomstick, what my grandfather used to say. You know, he was so popular. He was on Animaniacs at the beginning of the intro. Everybody remember the Animaniacs at the beginning, the intro. And look, dude was so popular. This dude, look, I don't know who I remember this. I remember when getting Bill Clinton was a code in NBA jams, dude. I remember when. No, you're laughing, but I'll
No,
never forget.
I'm looking it up, Chad. I'm not accusing you of lying.
No, you're laughing, but I'll never forget, man. Never forget when NBA Jams Tournament Edition came on. I never forget. Me and my cousins, we figured out a code to get Bill Clinton and P Funk. And if you
Is it the
know,
shoes?
is yeah, get him and P Funk.
Remember
He was
how
on.
Russ's soul Phil Hartman impersonated Bill Clinton on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, and look, even before the whole Monica Lewinsky situation, they was making fun of Bill Clinton in the WWE. With the Sunny vignettes in the presidential box. Remember, I think it was WrestleMania 10. We're up here with Todd Pettengill was on there. We're in the presidential box right now with uh with the president Bill Clinton. How do you think he's up there eating popcorn and stuff like that? So you have never seen a president that was more of a celebrity than that one guy. At the same time, though, Billy, damn.
Damn.
But come on, bro. What's so funny about that was this dude was being questions about them files. This motherfucker was up there smiling. Well, I don't remember. I'm looking at this trial like, bro, you up here smiling and reminiscing about this shit. And, bro, you can go to jail for this. Like, what you doing? So, like, you do realize you're being questioned with this because they try to put you behind bars, don't you?
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
And
Oh
I don't know,
Billy.
it's just
Oh
ah
Billy.
man.
Is it also because he visited your town in Columbus,
Yeah,
Georgia?
he came to Columbus with the Chester's barbecue, man.
Oh Billy. 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 Billy.
Oh
Billy.
man.
Billy. Oh gosh.
Oh
And
Oh
let's
man.
not
gosh.
forget his recent visit to the Dallas Cowboys to see Jerry Jones.
Yeah, Jared Jones they're following his old ass off the stage, trying to see Bill Clinton. They cut from the same cloth, so
Yeah, they went to Arkansas. They're from Arkansas. Went to the
yeah, they from
Gosh.
University of
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Gosh
But
darn it, Billy.
but
That's all I can say. Gosh darn it,
I
Billy.
say a strong tweener man because you cannot negate. I say border. I say you about a hair away from being a heel, simply because of the files alone, and I can't negate the files. I gotta say I gotta say Hill, because although you were an icon, although you were one of the most watched presidents in history, one of you was on NBA Jam, you was a big part of the new generation getting into politics, the first boomer to ever be in politics. I cannot negate a lot of the crazy shit that was done, and I cannot look past um, the files. I just can't look past it, you know. And you don't have, and the thing is, you could, a lot of cases, you could separate certain things, but when it's very, very egregious, it's crazy. Not to mention the crime bill, things like that, three strikes, and you're out, all of that. You can't look past that. Granted, you was on NBA Jams, you was on Animaniacs, the Arsenio Hall show, you was there are songs written about you to this day. There's references to you to this day. I mean, remember when Beyonce wrote "He Monica Lewinsky on my blouse"? I never forget that fucking verse. I never forget that verse. But at the end of the day, I can't ignore your crimes at this point. And unfortunately, man, Slick Willie, you going down in heel history, bro.
I'm watching the Family Guy episode of Peter and Bill Clinton right now.
You know, I I will say this though, man. Well, we need to have an after because I got a story about old Bill. But yeah, but I'll say that for after that.
All
Yeah,
right, here's something that we can feel more than comfortable talking about, and oh God, Dwayne.
go on, man.
Well, you did kind of like
That
shock
was
me.
a common joke back in those times too,
Yeah, that was. I mean,
that he
they
was the
were saying
first
it on
black
Comedy
president.
View.
I
They
mean,
were
but
saying
I
it on Comedy
mean,
View.
I mean he. I'm not gonna say he had all the characteristics, but god dang it, played the saxophone. I mean, you could definitely tell like he wasn't cut from the same cloth as everybody, with his upbringing and his background, like his college and all that stuff. So that was a very very common running joke at the time that he was actually the first black president. Oh
Not to
blessed
mention he was
Lord.
always at the 40 Minutes of Hell games. Remember him and Nolan Richardson was pretty
Mm.
tight back in them days, and he was at a lot of the Arkansas games when 40 Minutes of Hell Richardson was the coach there, and he spoke in the documentary 40 Minutes of Hell that was on ESPN. He was part of that documentary and spoke very highly of Nolan Richardson. But like I said, I can't look past a lot of the egregious. This is just the shit that we know about at this point. It's just like when something that you know about at this point, you start asking yourself, what all shit that we don't know about you that you have done? So it's just like it's kind of crazy at this point. So yeah, I gotta give him that heel label, bro.
Heel, heel. But he was funny though. I
Funny as
mean,
hell.
I'm.
Funny as hell.
uh,
It was so cool to it was a cool back then to see all of the funnies and all the crazy shit that he would do. I mean, to be like I said, one of the coolest. I mean, the thing is back then, and I do emphasize back then. This is before everything came out. Back then, to meet Bill Clinton was like the holy grail. Like, man, I got to meet Bill Clinton. To go to the White House, man, back then to go to the White House was something special. But then, everything comes out. And it ain't, and we ain't even talk about the whole Monica Lewinsky situation. You know, when
Well,
you
that
get
speaks
caught,
for itself.
well, but the thing is, I'm gonna just be real. That wasn't that's egregious, but compared to the other shit, that's a flash in the pan compared to the other shit. You know what I'm saying?
all right, all right, fellas. Let's move on. Favorite Sanaa Lathan moment. Love and basketball. The chemistry between her and Omar Epps on Love and Basketball, I like that. I did like The Best Man, but I wanted to see more from Sanaa Lathan. But anytime when you think of The Best Man, you think of how Nia Long was with her acting. You also think of Regina Hall. Love and basketball. I'm sorry, the strip basketball scene. The strip the strip basketball scene during a college. You know what scene I'm exactly referring to, big fella.
What is up with you and these love making scenes lately on the show, bro?
I love
What is up
seeing
with you and these love making-
I love seeing Sanaa Lathan. Listen, black women back in them days: Regina Hall, Sanaa Lathan, Tisha Campbell, Tashina Arnold, Vivica A. Fox, Vanessa Williams, Tony Braxton. Shall I continue? There was some beautiful black
It was
queens,
it was definitely a golden age. That was for sure.
but let's not forget Brown Sugar, with her and Tay Diggs. That was a good one. The Denzel Washington movie. Oh, the voice of Donna from the Cleveland Show, particularly the episode where she and Cleveland Jr. near the end they play Pretty Ricky's "Grind with Me." But Sanaa Lathan, smart woman, smart woman, went to Cal Berkeley, got her bachelor's degree in English, I think, then earned her master's degree in Yale University and earned it in drama. So when I look at Sanaa Lathan, beautiful, talented, I mean the perfect guy. I mean I love her relationship with Regina Hall. I mean they have great chemistry as well too. But Love and Basketball, still one of my favorite basketball movies. I mean, when you think of basketball movies that I love to watch, there's Hurricane Season with Forrest Whitaker and Taraji P. Henson, Like Mike with Lil Bow Wow, but Love and Basketball. That was one of my favorite movies, and still watch it to this day. And it's not living, but yeah, when we talk about black women, when we talk about what they mean in the '90s, and again, to your point, champ, how you mentioned with Nia Long, she was natural. She didn't have to do BBL. She didn't have to do breast lifts and all that other stuff. Natural. Thing of beauty. So those are some of my favorite moments of Sanaa Lathan. And yes, I would view her as a baby face as well. Whoever wants to go.
I'll take this one. Best Man Holiday, man. I loved her. Best Man Holiday. To your point, Brown Sugar. Um, hey, hey, I like Best Man Holiday was arguably my favorite one. Let's not forget about her role in life when she was with Martin. You know, when she played Martin's girlfriend. Family That Prays.
Yes.
That was one of her more diabolical roles. That was like, damn, you are really evil, aren't you?
Let's not
Love and
forget Raisin
Basketball.
in the Sun.
Hmm?
Raisin in the Sun. You know the movie with Diddy, Felicia Rashad.
Yeah, I remember that one too. Let me see. Alien versus Predator. You got to see her in another light.
Yes.
Got to see her in
Blade.
a whole nother light. Let's not forget about the movie that she played in with Wesley Snipes.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade. It was Blade. The
Yeah,
first
Blade.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade.
And then there was the
Um,
other drama movie that she was with Wesley Snipes. I can't remember the name. I'll look it
I
up.
don't remember the name. I don't remember that name. I don't. I really don't. Remember she played a disappearing act too.
Oh,
I'll never forget the perfect guy
yes.
when she had the alibi old dude. So that was a funny one. That was a fun. It was a funny one because of how it ended to me personally. Because the cop told her exactly how to get away with it. So, Sanaa Lathan, one of the, she is very, very classy. Personification of just classy. And she has a range. She has range too. She doesn't just have to play the damsel in distress. I think that family, when she played the family that prays, I think that that proved her range. Very, very underrated as an actress. So, and yeah, very, very beautiful woman, man. Like I always say, I'm addicted to peanut butter. So, yeah, Sanaa Lathan, you're amazing.
You view Sinai Lathan as peanut butter, but Joy Taylor's pretty obvious peanut butter, but you view Sinai Lathan as peanut butter. You could have just said Milky Way. You could have just said Snickers. You could have just said Twix or something. Kit Kat.
I mean, no, I mean, she got that she got that honey. I mean, would you rather me say honey? You know,
Yeah, you could say honey. Shit.
she's yes, and that's we'll call her
Get you a
caramel.
big ass bottle of honey, pour it all over her body, and you can tell me
Bro,
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
chill.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
you
yeah,
gonna get her
Hey,
kicked
hey,
out
wait,
the house,
it's
bro.
my, it's
Chill.
my,
You
po-
gonna
it's
get her
my, po-
kicked out.
it's my
Hey,
podcast. I
They
do
go
hey,
not
they
care.
gonna kick us off the
hey,
app, bro.
yo, hey, yo, hey,
I
yo,
do, I do not. I
hey,
listen. I do
yo.
not
Hey,
care. I do not
that's
care
my
what
kid. That's my
anyone
Ooh,
has to
guy.
boy.
say.
Hey, yo.
uh,
Hey,
I
yo.
tried not to
Boy,
encourage.
you
Listen,
come,
listen,
I tried not to
listen,
coming in
encourage
with
listen,
that
PSP
listen,
to go something
playalistic. You
else.
coming in now.
listen. I get sick and
Coming in.
tired of people saying, well, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that. Listen, I got a president depicting himself as Jesus. I have a president who doesn't even give a damn about American finances. I have other people saying ridiculous shit out there in this world. So I'm going to be 100% unapologetic. So if I get punished, so be it. The, it is what it is.
Damn. Definitely didn't expect that. But to your point, I mean, LL Cool J.
Plus, to your point, you've even said yourself there are other content creators who said far worse things and still able to monetize and get their views.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
And to I mean, look, to your point, LL was pouring chocolate on girls' legs in videos. So, I mean,
Let's not forget, yeah, the remix of Lounging.
yeah. So, never forget
Be-
she played in the wood, too. So,
yes,
but
Mm.
very, very beautiful woman, man. That is, yeah, respectfully, of course. Respectfully, of course.
BRF.
Hmm. I mean, you definitely can't think about Sanaa Lathan. Obviously, loving basketball, the role that really kind of catapulted her. That whole movie was just an awesome movie. I like every time I see that movie, I just enjoy watching because it was well done. The storytelling was awesome. I mean, it kind of like it has those moments where you're just enjoying the dynamic of the relationship, and then they get to pulling on your heartstrings because it's like, are they going to stay together and all this? And I mean, the movie was just very well done as a whole. So loving basketball will always have my respect and admiration for how good of a movie it is. Um, but yeah, I definitely like seeing her like movies like Blade. Just showing her range where she can be something a little more devilish, a little more devious, something. But yeah, best man. Like yeah, like the movie, like those movies like that, like late '90s, early 2000s. Like I mean, we talk about black love like all the time, but I mean, just certain movies like that that really kind of just put it at the forefront and just give it a spotlight. Just really kind of putting it out there and just you know just very very well done movies. So gosh, but yeah, the wood is another one of my favorites. Um, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed like a lot of her work. Yeah, you brought up the family that prays. I mean, like just a lot of the stuff that she's done. Like you definitely, I've definitely enjoyed like a lot of work that she's done because I definitely think she's a really good actress. She's one of the more underrated actresses that are out there that I don't think gets a lot of the flowers that she deserves for what she's done and the work that she's put in. So I'm glad we're doing this segment for her and kind of giving her flowers and shouting her out. So those are like some of my favorite things as far as Sanaa Lathan. But I'm glad we had this segment and giving her flowers because I definitely think she's one of the more underrated actresses of the 21st century. So definitely shout out Sanaa Lathan.
Last but not least, fellas, favorite Pitbull track, "Hotel Room Service." Especially when you go into a room and you see all them beautiful women, you play a "Hotel Room Service." Then "International Love" with Chris Brown. "Give Me
Mm-hmm.
Everything Tonight" with Neo. When he his verse on DJ Khaled's "Holla at Me."
Mm-hmm.
So I love Pitbull from, I mean, the Miami Love, man. I mean, he finds a way to entertain, give the audience something to vibe to, something to connect. So if I look at songs, "Hotel," "Room Service," "Give Me Everything," "International Love," that type of stuff, man. What's y'all favorite tracks from Pitt?
Oh,
Oh, well, with Pitbull, I don't think we really. I mean, we focus a lot on like the main, like the second part of his career, like when he, the mainstream hits, like you brought up Hotel Room Service. Shoot, his feature with the Yin Yang Twins, "Shake," a really good song. Um, People might not remember this, but Pitbull got his start BME Click with the Yin Yang Twins back in the day.
mhm.
That's what Pitbull like got his start. So a lot of the rap he did early on in his career was like more on the gangster side of rap. Like if like one of my favorite video games was Fight Night, and I'm trying to remember which soundtrack it was. I think it was oh gosh, I think it was either round two or round three. But he had the song called "Back Up" that was on that was on that soundtrack. If y'all haven't heard that song, hear that. Y'all should find that song. That's a really good song. Like I said, he did a lot of like gangster stuff and stuff. Before he kind of got into like the mainstream and doing more of like the I guess if you want to call it like the travel rap. Kind of like him and Flo Rida. Like they started off doing like the gangster stuff, and then as they kind of was building their stuff up, kind of more of like the international travel like stuff, more popsy kind of rap. Um, but yeah, I would, gosh, Pitbull's got a lot of good stuff. But yeah, I would probably go. I'd go Hotel Room Service. I would definitely go. I know you want me. That was another
Yeah,
good one.
I know
I
you
know you
want
want
me.
me. I
I
know you
know I
want
want
me. You know I want you. That was another good one.
you.
But yeah, I got to yeah, definitely shout out to Pitbull. But like I said, I grew up on him like I said, because me, us being in Georgia, near Atlanta, when Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, was when Crunk was just like the epitome and was like the peak of what hip hop was, especially down in the South, and the fact that they are the ones that introduced us to him. So I can't even. Yeah, that's one of those where it's like it's nice having that little bit of trivia that we can throw out there as far as like who introduced Pitbull to the game, and the fact that we can go be and me and the Lil Jon and the East Side Boys. Um, so, but but yeah, that's some of those are like a few of my favorite Pitbull tracks. But yeah, he's definitely one to reckon with because I gotta shout him out to be able to kind of start from like where he started to what he grew into. Because he even said it himself when you Google his name, he comes before the dog. So I mean, like he'll pop up before the dog. So I mean, it's that just hey, and it's the truth, man. Shout out to him, man.
Yeah, true.
He's something different, man. We got to we got to shout out the homie, man. Shout out to Pitbull.
Big fella.
Damn, I love Miami.
Mhm.
Damn, I love Miami. I know it's not his song, but I love the collaboration he did with Don Umar. Daisy Kudo, go go go. That was that was what I still listen to this song to this day. Shout out to one of my exes. I'm not gonna say her name on the internet. I don't want to embarrass her. I don't know if she's in a relationship with that, but she taught me how to salsa dance, and that was one of the main songs she used to teach me how to salsa dance to when we was doing that. Cause look, if you know me, my rhythm is way the hell off. So I'm just gonna be real. You know, every man of color ain't got no rhythm, and I'm one of them. So I'm just gonna be real. So she taught me how to salsa dance, and we went to the Latin clubs downtown in Columbus. You know, when it was Latin night, and she would teach me how to salsa dance, and let some of the other girls teach me how to do these steps and stuff like that. And so a lot of those songs were Pitbull's songs, man. A lot of those songs Pitbull. Remember who discovered Pitbull as well, bro? Uncle Luke.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uncle Luke discovered Pitbull, aka Luke Skywalker, aka the U. So that was good. Hey baby, drop it on the floor. So oh yeah, DJ got us falling in love with
Mm-hmm.
Usher. Time of
Mm-hmm.
Our Lives. Timber. That was good, man. I like it. So, but you know what? I know you want me. That one was good, man. Cause I'll never forget my big ass trying to dance to that song because in them steps, well, at least back then, I don't know your steps. I had to count that shit in my head in order to get control of the steps. And she figured out I was counting in my head before we could do that. It was like because you had to go 1, 2 steps to the left, 1, 2 steps to the right. Then you had to kind of shoot. Like I said, I ain't got no rhythm like that, so I'm not a good dancer. But yeah, she danced and taught me how to salsa dance. So shout out to her because she taught me how to salsa dance. But I still got some moves to this day, but not as crisp as they was. I'm 39 now. I was 22 back then, but yeah, I learned how to salsa dance through a lot of Pitbull, man. Shout out to my homie from back then who showed me how to salsa dance, man. Pitbull, I was able to come outside my comfort zone because of a couple of your songs, man.
That's what's up, man. The hotel room, man. That's the thing for me, man. Hotel room. But fellas, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast. BRF, any final words?
Absolutely. As always, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being on the Sports PSP podcast with my two homies here. Uh, always a pleasure to share the spotlight. Always grateful to come in here with open arms and ready to kind of have some fun and entertain and do it and educate and kind of do what we do. Shout out! I gotta give a special shout out. Shout out to Emily. You know who you are. I now have a fire intro and outro video now that I'm going to try to start implementing with a lot of my videos now. Definitely got to shout her out. Her work is amazing. She's done other work for other content creators. Definitely got to shout her out. So any anything to kind of advance as far as like what we want to do and where we want to be as far as this content creation podcast game is always welcome, always appreciated. So definitely giving her a shout out. um yeah, just but honestly though, man, it's always a pleasure to get on here. Like long week of work, you're a little tired, you ready to rest, but then when you come and then like coming in here, especially with the earlier start time, it's like kind of it wakes you up a little bit, kind of get your blood flowing again, and then we just go and do our thing for the next 3+ hours or so, and just having fun. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm always happy to come on, and it's always have a blast. Man, I love y'all too. So y'all supported me. Y'all like yeah, particularly like when I was going through, those those last couple of weeks, after my grandma passed, checking in on me, seeing how I was doing and everything like that. Shout out to both of y'all. But yeah, man, I'm just glad to be back on the road, back on the routine, and man, we just ready to keep it going, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Hey, topic not thought about is a topic not talked about, people. Um, yeah. So
There you
that's
go.
pretty much what I got, man. It's always just a pleasure to be here, man. It's the highlighted Friday nights for a reason, man. I'm just glad to be a third of this kind of fun trio to be able to contribute to this every week. So it's always a pleasure.
Big fella?
Uh, it's always fun, man. It's fun. It's always fun, man. It's fun time. Good, clean fun, as always, man. Special shout out to everybody, man. Special shout out to PSP. Keep doing your thing, man. Thank you for all your advice. Thank you for everything you've contributed to not just your show to help give me a platform, but things you do for the Undisputed Goat podcast. Just because a person's not on the show all the time doesn't mean they don't make special contribution behind the scenes. There's a lot of times where Sports PSP, I got writer's block and he helped me write a show. So, it's good to have people that look after you and make sure you don't look dumb. So, um, BRF, keep doing a good job. Shout out to everybody. Hope everybody spent time with their mother on Mother's Day. Memorial Day is coming up. Be careful. You know, don't forget about Father's Day next month. You know, I understand that Mama get the glory, but Dad should too. Mama always get the glory, the glitz and glamour, but they don't understand how much fathers sacrifice their mind, brain, life, and limb in order to provide for their family. So with Father's Day coming up, Memorial Day coming up, give Dad the same recognition. So, um, always good to be on the hard Friday nights, man. I enjoy every single night, man. I always get excited knowing that I'm gonna be here on Friday, hanging out with my guys once again to talk about sports and various other subjects. So I'm always excited to be here. Huge shout out to the Washington Mystics as well, overcoming the Indiana Fever. If you didn't watch that game, you missed a treat. And um,
Don't forget Asia Wilson.
yeah, 45 points.
Jesus.
Oh, it gets worse. Kennedy Carter scored 18 coming off the bench. That is
That's
bad.
why I wanted. That's why I wanted the Atlanta Dream to try to get her. She is showing exactly why. When I heard that she was trying to get back to WNBA, I'm like, Atlanta, sign her. You need another scorer off the bench. And the fact
But
that
al-
she went to Vegas. Oh
Yeah,
God.
but
but
we got
also
them here
shout
now.
but also shout out. Let's give some love to Caitlin Clark too. Even though she didn't have the greatest shooting performance, she still was able to give you 32 points, 4 rebounds,
She
and 8
got.
assists.
I think she got it to she got it to overtime. She did all she could do.
Yeah, her and
Yes.
Kelsey Mitchell, they was out there shooting. They was shooting their asses off in that game, man. They needed some better perform. They need a better performance from down low with their bigs at this point. I think Aaliyah Boston is great, but she needs some help down low.
My last few things before we wrap up the show. May again is Mental Health Month. Take time for your mental health month. Last week, remember there wasn't no show. PSP was in he was in a really dark situation, dark place. Like I said, I give a lot of credit to Mama PSP, D, Kia, everyone else just checking on me as well as BRF and Champ just checking on me, making sure that I was okay. I didn't want to do a show that day. As Champ always says, I can find another pod. A pod won't find another me. So I always gotta remind myself to make sure I take care of my mental, my physical, everything else. I mean, I can find another pod. A pod won't replace someone of my contributions, and that just tells you how valuable, how great I am as far as what I do. Of
Yeah,
course, I would not be where I am today if it were not for BRF, Champ, Mama PSP, Angie, D. The list goes on and on. So, and also, of course, God, saving the best for last.
yes,
I just want to thank a lot of people for helping me along the way with the Sports PSP podcast. We're just going to continue to do whatever we can. Also, too, if the president is saying something dumb or incoherent, do me a favor, ignore him. Because at this point, listening to him talk is just a waste of time. Sorry, I must say this. When he said that he doesn't care about America's finances, um, like I said with Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Also, to take time just for yourself, work on some things that you need to work on, and just continue to do what you can. I found something that I love to do, and if you have a problem or something, talk to someone. Let's be more mindful. Let's be more cognizant about someone else's needs. And naturally, when someone is actually trying to reveal or tell you something, don't interrupt them or shame them. Take the time to listen and show not only compassion but also empathy. And on that note, we're going to end off the show. Thank you for people tuning in. Dwayne, you need to chill with them comments as well, too. And on that note, we is out. Peace. Love you, D.